What is going on? What's going on? Hopefully everything is good to go. I can see it pulsating. We ready. We ready to go. Already 25 people in the building. Make sure you hit the like button when you come on in. Let's get this thing going. Let's get ready to go. Let's get it. Yes, I'm back from my little vacay. But we about to go. About to get this thing started. Let's go.
Peace, folks. This is X from TPOT Media. Open your mind and wake your black ass up. You know what time it is. Hit that damn like button as you make your way in the door. Grab a seat, settle in, get ready. It's the Grown Man Hour with your host, my man, Bernard Riley.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mumia Obsidian Ali. You know who I am. I need no introduction, right? And you're listening to the Grown Man Hour with my man Bernard Riley, heard weekdays right here on YouTube. What do you think about that? How about that? Now let's get back on with the show. Thank you.
What is up? What is up? What is up? What is up? I know y'all can't see me just yet. There I go. There I go. There I go. There I go. Shout out to everyone who is in the building. Shout out to everyone who is in the building. Dotting some I's and crossing some T's. But overall, let's go. Let's get it. I'm gonna set that up right there. Put my phone right there so I can keep an eye on that. And that is at 2%. So let me get that straightened out, and then we're about to get this show on the road. After I get one more thing straightened out here. One more thing straightened out. That piece of that get on there. Okay. All right. I am glad to be back in the saddle. Shout out to those who make it in bright and early before I even get things going. Early Bird Squad, as I call you. Shout out to each and every one of you. Demetrius, here you go with his name. I had to take a deep breath before I read that. Higashikata Speaks, a Gen Z POV. I think I said it right. Shout out to you. Stoic One in the building says blessings BR in the chat. D-Rock Den in the building. Sweet Melody Speaks says not guilty. Peace Bernard Riley in chat. Black Craig the tech guy in the building says black men winning out here. Shout out to you. Excalibur in the building says salute brother Bernard in my TBOT voice. Right on. Jay the Conqueror says, oh boy, here we go. Got his popcorn ready. Malcolm in the Middle 87 says not guilty. The law is the law, right? That's how it is when white people get off on a technicality. The law is the law is the law. So no, we not about to we about to stay on code for the when black people getting off on technicalities. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. John Doe 601 says, "Good morning, Bernard. Peace in the chat. Dr. Cosby, I say Crosby. Dr. Cosby is an innocent man. Period. Hashtag no cooning. Okay, being innocent, being not guilty, two different things. I do like to get caught up in the legal mumbo jumbo. That's why I do like the lead attorney's channel. You notice it's guilty or not guilty. They never say we the jury have determined that the defendant Orenthal James Simpson is innocent. And he said he's not guilty. It's a difference. It's a difference. He cannot be innocent, but he also is not guilty. That not guilty is a legal term. And yes, I am guilty for being late. Guilty for being late. Yes. Riley, we the court find you guilty of committing the CP time abomination. We now sentence you to 1 hour in jail. I deserve it. I will do my time. I will do my time. Absolutely. Shout out to Wizard X in the building. Says first. Remember, people only say first with the comments. He says he's first on the super chat. I like that. Coming through being first on the super chat. Thank you for the $2.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
But all right, well, getting into it before I even get all the way into it, get a few things out the way before I dig into the topic. Wait, hold on. Hood Conservative Culture and Politics Review. I don't think they showed his lawyers. 2 of them were white women. He had a team of lawyers. I saw a white man, I saw 2 white women, and some black people. It was a rainbow coalition. But as per usual, when you're on trial and you're a black man and the victim is white or a white woman, which many of the alleged victims were, you get a white female lawyer. Kobe, when he had his situation, accused of allegedly raping a white woman, what did he get? White female lawyer. And he was seen on camera being an utter and complete gentleman. If you go back and watch the tapes, you'll see Kobe Bryant, get out the car first, walk around, open the door for her and let her out, get her by the hand and like as she steps up the curve and all of that, and everything. I know somebody putting Cochran in the chat already, but that's silent down there putting Cochran in the chat. I did think about that. OJ didn't do that. So there's that. However, a lot of the times when they get female lawyers to fight the case, it's good for the optics, as Goshen is saying. Not that I ever committed a major crime like or never been accused of committing a major crime like OJ or Bill Cosby, but when I was going through my divorce, after I fired my first lawyer, the second lawyer I got was, guess what? A female lawyer. I got a female lawyer. And I won. I don't think it was all just because she was a woman. It's a weird thing and an interesting dynamic how those, like, I went to go to that law firm. I went there. It was started by the mom. The mom is like the head madam of the law firm, the mother, and then her daughter is a lawyer. That's her. The daughter is the one that's worked for me. She looks seemed to be about mid-30s. All the other lawyers that worked in there were women. Okay. All the secretaries, all the legal assistant, whatever, everybody in there from top to bottom, to the chick that stapled the papers, to the highest up lawyer, all women. No men had anything to do with that. The Judge says superpower uterus. Did I read? Yeah, I did read that right, I think. Yeah, I did. But anyway, so it's like the women, they coalesce, like, yeah, we're going to be a female law firm. They think they'd be fighting injustices for women, but no, a lot of their clients was men. So it's like they teamed up, joined forces, formed Voltron, bunch of female lawyers to do what? To fight against women who are trying to screw men over in custody situations. I went in there thinking, okay, these female lawyers, it's a whole female law firm, top to bottom. Everybody here is a woman. I'm thinking most of them thinking they fighting Me Too cases and all that. No. They're divorce attorneys. Most women will go to a man when they need their divorce handled. Men will go to women. So who do you think they're defending? Now, of course, there's nuance to it. Of course, they probably defend some women, but I think they mostly defend men. At least that's what it looked like. That's all I saw there. A little bit of irony. A little bit of irony there. A little bit of irony there. Red sings the blues in the building with the $5 Do appreciate that. Do appreciate it. He says, hey, Bernardo, donation. Check your email. I want to confirm you for my panel tomorrow. I will check that. I apologize. As you know, I was on vacation just recently on a very brief vacation. I didn't have to take as many days off YouTube, but I was on a little brief vacation. But I will check that and see what's up with that. Viscount Lavelle says there is a presumption of innocence. The state has to prove guilt. That's the reason why they don't say innocent. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is correct. That is correct. Wizard X in the building. He says, problem of Me Too is that it ignores innocent until proven guilty. That is also correct. Hashtag believe all women. The slight accusation of grape. And for those of you that don't know, who are not ingratiated into this sphere of black, well, white people got to do the same thing too. The word, if the word grape there for the new people here that don't know, when you hear us say grape, just take the G off of grape, and that's the word that we're really saying. So you're looking at it right there. Grape minus the G. That's the word that you're really saying. We're trying not to trigger the algorithm, even though I think I'm going to mess up and trigger the algorithm today. I think I'm going to accidentally say that word multiple times. But like Red Planet Photography says down there, get the likes up, get the likes up. But shout out to Wizard X. He makes a good point there. That is the basic fundamental problem of the Me Too movement. Believe all women, blah blah blah. That's the fundamental problem. That is precisely where the problem is with that. Not the only problem, but that's a big one. That's a big one. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Appreciate you coming on through. Little Big Nate talking about some Trump. Trump Paul 2024. Get ready. It's going to be an interesting thing if Trump does actually run again. See, I understood how, shout out to Zero, he clowned me when I didn't realize Trump could run again. I know how it works. Okay. I get how it works. You're allowed to serve 2 terms. But I actually, for some reason, thought once you got in for that 1 term and then you ran again and lost going for your 2nd term, in my mind, you just couldn't keep coming back. It didn't occur to me, but yes, Trump is crazy enough to run again. Yeah. He missing being in that limelight. Trump gonna go back and do it again. Absolutely. Cole Seal in the building says false accusations are wrong, but men can avoid them by being direct, blunt, upfront instead of being indirect. Absolutely. Absolutely. Agreed. You definitely bare minimum could reduce the probability. You definitely can reduce the probability by doing that. Some things you can't. Some things, if a chick just want to do something stupid or say something stupid or accuse you of some stuff you didn't do, then it just is what it is. But the indirect, and again, shout out to ARC. I didn't say it the first time right when I read that, but we can't talk about this without shouting out ARC. But the situations where indirect can get you in trouble is if you were, yes, being gentlemanly on a date and then you invite her to your house on some on under like a false pretense. I don't even know if false pretense is the right word. The plausible deniability is the word everybody likes to use. Let's go to my house and something corny. Let's just sip some wine on my patio or something corny. That's what you brought her there for. I just about to sit on the patio and drink some wine, and that's that. That's what you invited her over on. And then you gradually start doing, what I've admitted that I would do. It just gradually start getting a little more sexual, gradually as the night is going, a little more touchy-feely, and then just gradually work your way into some pussy. Doing that can make her say, whoa, even though she was okay with you nibbling on her end, kissing on her neck and rubbing on her thigh and playing with her nipples, and she was okay with all that, but when it got down to the get down, then that's when she went, whoa, hold on, I didn't come over here for this. Well, why your pussy out? Okay, I see. I wasn't even supposed to be talking about all that today. You ain't come over here for all that, but your titties out. So let's go. But doing that can get you into some trouble. That could have her running out of the house with her shirt unbuttoned. She running like you ripped it open. Like, no, I slowly unbutton them buttons. Don't run out of here with your titties out and one high heel on, like you was being attacked. I slowly brought you upon this. And so yeah, that's where that slow, gradual effect of being indirect could lead you into some trouble. When you indirect, you try to gradually do it. So that's the benefit of just putting it right out there on the table. Just put it right out there on the table. Absolutely. Because I was very indirect. I was always indirect at first, and then just would gradually get more direct as things would go on. That's what I would do. But hey, that was me. To each his own. That worked out for me, but then there's drawbacks to doing it that way. I'm in a relationship now, a very happy relationship. But if I was single again, I would try to be more direct. If I ever got back out there, I would try to be more direct. I would. But not gradually mauled this date. Yeah, started out nibbling on the ear, and then started out with nibbles. Yeah. That was how I got down. Start out with little small nibbles so you go in for the bite. But anyway, we ain't come here to talk about that. I know a lot of you were in attendance on the Help a Brother Out broadcast. I might have worded it wrong. What was it? A little bit Nate came with the title. It says it was for the first time in Manosphere history, the Sister Brother broadcast. Me and Little Big Nate did that because Little Big Nate's channel right now, currently as we speak, Little Big Nate can't go live on his channel. But Little Big Nate, he does his show. He does the Little Big Nate show every, if I got his schedule right, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then co-host show on with Sir Tice on Sunday. And for those of you that don't know, who missed the A Sister Brother broadcast, what essentially happened when Little Big Nate did a video response from, shout out to Rod of God podcast, see you down there. I didn't watch your debate with MOT. I did not watch your debate with MOT. I will watch that. I know it was wild. I will watch that when I get a chance. But what was I getting at? Yeah. So when Little Big Nate did a response to y'all know Cynthia G made Black YouTube news with the whole little thing of some white guy called into her show or whatever. I vaguely talked about it on my show, but I didn't have that much. I didn't have a whole lot to say about it. But we touched on it. If it make Black YouTube news, O'Shea covered, everybody talking about it. Okay, I'll touch on. I'll give my thoughts on it. So the first time I gave my thoughts on it, I didn't even watch it. When I did a follow-up with Obsidian, not a follow-up with Obsidian, because me and Obsidian talked about something else, but that was one of the subplots. Obsidian gave his thoughts on that. I did actually go back and watch it, and it was kind of stupid. But anyway, Lil Big Nate did a response to it, and Lil Big Nate, he goes in. He goes hard, and she apparently, or her fans, I don't know exactly who, but apparently he got a strike against his channel. Just a 1 week strike, which is actually kind of lucky because those strikes normally, a lot of the time, they can be months. They can be over a month. Easy. 3 months. Easy. But he got a 1 week strike. He couldn't go live for 7 days on his channel. And we won't accept that. So we came up with the idea. Well, he came up with the idea and he pitched it to me and I loved it. The Sister Brother broadcast, where the Little Big Nate show that goes normally Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Even during this time where he can't go live on his channel, the Little Big Nate show will go on. It will go on. It will carry on. It's going to keep on getting up. It's going to keep right on getting on. And so he's going to be going live on my channel tonight, doing the Little Big Nate show live on my channel tonight. I will try to, for the most part, stay out of it, even though I had to get involved on it. On the last one, I had to jump in at the end when some girl who we thought was just a regular troll, which she was a troll, but we thought she was one of the trolls who does not come up. They just like to, can be capping, toasting, roasting in the chat. She actually came up and we had a conversation. So I had to jump in and get had to jump in and get a piece of that action. But for the most part, it'll be the Little Big Nate show. I'll just be in the background, clicking on super chat so he can so he can see them pop up and read them. Or sometimes he just shout them out and we just keep it moving. He does things the way he does things, but But either way, I'll just be in the back. Just if you need me to share the screen or something, if I'm not asleep, or it's very possible I could be not paying attention and I might not be able to help him out. But either way it go, long story short, I just basically will gonna set it up, send him the link, bring him up, drop down, and let Little Big Nate do the Little Big Nate show on my channel, so he won't miss a beat. His Cash App will be present. And that will be going on tonight. His Cash App will be present, so y'all can Cash App like right there. It'll be right there on the screen. So y'all be doing that stuff like that, clicking to make sure that everything, information you need to know is on the screen. I'll be doing that. I'll be in the back just doing stuff like that. But it will be the Little Big Nate show. Y'all can Cash App him while he's going live. And if an event that just super chat, that's awesome, because super chats go to me, Cash Apps go to him. So. But I do want y'all to definitely hit Little Big Nate's Cash App when he's here working. Don't have him up here working for free. But we will we will keep the Little Big Nate show alive and well and running. And I think he just sent me the. He did send me the thumbnail, so I will be showcasing the thumbnail. I haven't seen it, but I bet it's crazy. Shout out to Kill Deuce in the building. Kill Deuce says, it seems like your best bet is to go monk mode. Why? For me, monk mode is not an acceptable answer. That type of MGTOW where you just have casual sex with women, that's acceptable. That's monk mode, not acceptable. No. Yes, listen. even the brothers who say they ain't messing with these American women, and 3-4 times out the year they take a 1-week vacation and go travel and get their release out there, but they just threw with this whole American game. That's even acceptable. I respect that. But just full monk mode, I can't do it. Shout out to Oheen and Mora. Crypto Gang podcast. Shout out to him. He's full monk mode. If he could do that, that's what he had to do to get focused, get his mind right. I respect the brother. I do. But I can't. I got yeah. I can't be MGTOW monking it. I can't be MGTOW monking it up. That's not acceptable. It's jacking off mode. I ain't even read the whole super chat. I just had to stop right. I just had to pull a. Damn. Hold on. I'm not back on yet. Hold on. Real quick. 1 second. All right. Haven't even read the whole super chat. That MGTOW monk. No, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Just going cold turkey on sex altogether. No. Keep it casual. Shout out to Ellen Roger Curry. Be direct as possible. Like Me Too charges, they're mostly going to happen at work. This is where people don't understand Me Too and how it works. Let me finish reading your super chat real quick. It seems like your best bet is to go monk mode, or if liquor or drugs are involved, use them too and act dumb. No gray areas, crazy times. If liquor or drugs are involved, use them too. You mean use the drugs too and act dumb? What? Like, that's a no. Everything you said in this super chat is a no. Except for no gray areas. That's the only thing that I can work with. But what is you talk? Kill Deuce, you're tripping, dude. You're tripping. It seems like your best bet is to go monk mode. To that, I say no. Okay. The way that it works, typically in a casual sex dating environment, typically, even if you're indirect as hell and you're not a celebrity. See, if a celebrity does that indirect thing, and I think Alan Roger Curry always talk about that Haseen Asari, I forgot the guy's name, some little Indian Arab looking comedian his jokes wouldn't be funny if he wasn't Indian or Arab or whatever the hell he is. If he's just a regular white dude, he'd just be just a regular average white comedian. But anyway, he's capitalizing off his diversity. Good for him. But anyway, I never found him that funny. But anyway, he had a situation where, yeah, he was very indirect, and then he got a woman to his house and he started trying to gradually get more and more aggressive, and then she pulling back. Then she was able to say, I didn't come over for all of this, but because he's a celebrity, she can throw it. She can't really say he broke the law. Maybe she could, but not really. A lot of times in those situations, a chick can't say a dude broke the law if they were out on a date and then they went to a house or to a hotel and it got sexual and then she pulled out. But she can't really say he broke the law, but she can ruin his reputation. Well, if you're just a regular dude making regular money, unless this chick is conniving enough to go to your job and just say horrible, let's just say you work for a really nice company and she want to call your job and say that yes, your let's just say Kildeuce Washington, your your VP in sales, he did all these horrible, terrible things. Then it's a situation where it's you know where she can technically try to ruin you, but for the most part, regular guys in regular situations, not at work, you won't necessarily be me too'd. You and a chick just may have some disagreements about what was supposed to happen when up in there, but she can't really say you broke the law. Those are celebrity problems. Those are reputation, career ruining problems. Only thing she could really do with you is get pissed. Now, when you go to messing with chicks at your job and she was with it at first until she wasn't with it, and then he was trying to do this, and then you get now you're getting fired. Okay. That's how you can get me too as just a regular person. You can get fired messing with a chick on your job. But for the most part, you meet a chick out at a bar on an app or whatever. Y'all go out, y'all have some drinks, y'all go back to your place. For the most part, you're good. I'm not saying shit can't happen. It can happen. It can happen. Don't get that twisted. It can happen. Things can go left. But for the most part, that no, you're not gonna have that problem where you wanted some ass and then she didn't, and then she's gonna get you full blown arrested. Like, no, that typically that's not gonna happen that much. Shout out to everybody in the building. We got 237 people in the building, 88 on the likes. Don't mix up celebrity problems with normal people problems. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Shout out to Sick Lid in the building with the $10 super chat. Speaking of being direct, you can't be more direct than just than this right here.
What do we get for $10? Everything you want. Everything? Everything. You.
I dare you to go and be more direct than that. Just ask the chick what you get for $10. An African YouTuber once said he had no idea grown men wanted to do the sex to her. Vietnamese women know the deal. Silent Lamont in the building. He said, "Oh, Bernard, you giving Little Big Nate socialism?" That's actually a good one. That's actually a good one.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
I don't know how Little Big Nate feels about that, but that's actually a good one. Yes. Yeah, we're being socialist about our voices being silenced. Yes, we're going to be some full blown socialist bleeding hearts about it. Yes. But shout out to Silent. That's funny. Also, a shout out to who did I see down here? Haven't even got all the way into the main topic. Lakeith S. Evans in the building. He says, we should do what we want and stop considering a woman's feelings. Who said anything about a woman's feelings? If it's a lose-lose deal for us, let's stop trying to make a deal. I don't know what you're talking about. What is the lose-lose deal? Let's bring back slapping and chauvinism. You talking about slapping them on the ass? I'm with you. Nothing wrong with a little chauvinism. I'm pretty sure it's CH. I'm not going to criticize you because I make a lot of mistakes like that too. But it's black men's turn to be chauvinist anyway. Okay. I mean, I want you to elaborate on exactly what you mean. We should do what we want and stop considering a woman's feelings. I don't hear women's feelings being considered in this conversation, but maybe you're referring to something else. If it's a lose-lose deal for us, I don't get how it's a lose-lose deal. We was talking about having casual sex with women. If you invite a woman over to your house for casual sex, it's not a lose-lose deal. I say this because I was single after I got divorced, well, separated. I was single for about a 4-year period out there. Had a lot of casual sex. Nobody me too'd me. I did have some situations where a chick pulled back, hey, I ain't come over here for this. I'm like, okay, cool. There's the fucking door. No, just playing. I just cuddled and finished watching the movie on Netflix. I ain't kick her out. But anyway, it's not a lose-lose. You can you can end up getting some casual sex out of the deal. I don't understand what you mean by lose-lose. But anyway, shout out to you. Appreciate the $20.
I want 150,000. So we can settle out of court right now for $20.
Man, get your
Appreciate your $20. Shout out to Brighton BGT. Shout out to you. He says a YouTuber by the name of Nicole's View was that Bill Cosby's second trial. Before Cosby's second lawyer came out, she talked about what really happened at his second trial that the mainstream media won't talk about. I will look into that. She said Nicole's Views, a YouTuber by the name of Nicole's View was that Bill Cosby's second. Yeah, I'll check out the Nicole's View chick. Goshen says you just got lucky multiple times. Got lucky by not getting me too'd. Look, listen. For the most part, if y'all have sex, then yes, it's a possibility she could go left and do something stupid. But for the most part, if it never gets to the point of sex, you was just trying to have sex with her and she was just declining sex. Right now, per how the law is currently set up, you can't get taken to jail for attempting some sex. That may change. But right now, that is not the law. You can pursue some sex and she can change her mind and you could say okay, and then she can go tell somebody that I mean, okay, theoretically she can go say some bullshit. Like that can always happen, but dudes thinking that they need to go monk mode just because it's a possibility that a woman who you are pursuing for sex and then she changed her mind at your house and then just walked up out of there. Typically, it's one, that's rare that it happens, and two, they don't got a case. Now, that brings us, I guess, to Bill Cosby. I guess that brings us to Bill Cosby. Because here I am saying they typically don't got a case, but here's a situation where they shouldn't have had a case, but it ended up doing what it did. You're right, Bernard Riley. That may change. In this case, may just be the catalyst. Right. Why is that acting like that? That stuff is acting funny on me. All right. Number 16 in the building, he says, but you can't get accused of being weird or grapey. I know, but that's not punishable by law. That's just a chick ruining your reputation, which is bad, which is absolutely bad. and she felt uncomfortable. That is enough. I think he's trying to say that is enough to screw you over in the court of public opinion. Yes. But again, these are people who are in the limelight. Those are their problems. Average guy making 60K, woman try to ruin his reputation in the court of public opinion. I mean, who's going to freaking see it? He's just a dude. He works at a factory somewhere. So that court of public opinion stuff is really them being attention whores. They want to let everybody know that that Nick Cannon, took them out and wined and dined them and had them at the hotel and slapped him in the forehead with his dick, and they want to let everybody know that. They didn't want to have sex with him. I got a boyfriend, but you still was okay with going to the hotel and got all the way to the point to where his junk was out, and then you reneged, and then you said that he was too aggressive. I mean, yeah, Nick Cannon will get done like that. Joe Smo that work at the factory won't get done like that. She's not going to go public and say that she let Joe Smo slap her on the forehead with his dick, and then she ran out the hotel room. Like she's not typically they're not going to do that if it was a casual sex situation that she just reneged on. Typically, Joe Smo does not get ruined in the court of public opinion. So that's why I'm saying, if dudes, you are over exaggerating the harm and the risk if you're saying you have to go MGTOW monk to avoid the allegations. Silence says you're wrong. Being weird is a misdemeanor. Yeah, let women get their way. That will be the case. Let women get their way. That will be the case. That whole getting approached by unattractive guys and, oh, it's so creepy. I can't believe he said I look good in my dress. Then an attractive guy that they want to have sex with say they look good in the dress is perfectly fine. We know that. That's an old adage. We know that. What is being a good, charming, flirting gentleman, complimenting a young lady for one guy is a creepy, stalker, grapey vibe from another guy. And they can say the exact same words. Like, we know that. Let women have it their way. Yes, they will absolutely. They would absolutely try to make it illegal. Maybe they're not smart enough to understand it. It's impossible to legislate whether or not attractive men approach you or not. But the whole street harassment thing, like nobody's worried about Brad Pitt street harassing them. They're worried about it. Just they don't want to be approached by guys who they're not attracted to. So they're trying to start whole movements off. I don't want to be approached by this guy. That's what they're doing. I want ugly men to stop approaching me. So they want to try to make a whole political movement or campaign about it. Like, that's essentially what they're doing. That's essentially what's going on there. Like, that's essentially all that is. But if we're talking about regular guys, it's minimal what they can do when we're talking about regular guys. Now, celebrities, they have a different thing going on. They have a much different fight because people are out to ruin their reputations. With most of the Me Too cases, the reason so few guys have gotten locked up over the Me Too cases, because it's technically not illegal to pursue sex, even aggressively. That's technically not illegal. So the only thing the women can do is ruin the reputation. That's the only thing they can do, is ruin the reputation. And then what is ultimately happening, we've seen this with Bill Cosby, is that now these women are like, oh, this Me Too thing is a thing. Oh, well, now let me try to go back and retroactively ruin a reputation. Let me go back and retroactively do this. Let me try to go back and see if I can get some money or attention off of this thing. That's what's going on with celebrities. But I don't think regular average Joe brothers need to be walking around in the same fear that Keanu Reeves walk around with. You see him taking pictures of chicks where he won't even put his arm around them like that. He hold his hands up like that, and there's one chick right there and one chick right there, and he doing like this, like, I'm not even touching you. Keanu Reeves got to be worried like that because it's not against the law to put your hand on a chick's shoulder like that. It's not against the law to do that. So if I do that in a picture, the only thing the chick can say to me is that, oh, I didn't like when you did that. She go to the police about it. They're going to be like, it's not illegal for somebody to touch your shoulder or the small of your back in a picture. And even if he did, lower his hand and touch like the top part of your ass a little bit as y'all was separating, that's a very small infraction. But if you're Keanu Reeves, his reputation can be ruined. He could, if they debating whether we're going to use Keanu or Tom Cruise for this next action blockbuster and pay $15 million, they may say, Keanu got this little Me Too thing going on. He touching ass. Let's go with Tom Cruise instead of Keanu. So that's why celebrities got to walk around being more careful than the regular guy because their reputation is on the line. It's millions of dollars on the line. Only thing a chick can do to a regular dude is just say, I didn't like when you did that. Okay, and you can't. As of right now, and they working on it. But as of right now, they really can't get you charged up for pursuing them. But celebrities, they got a different thing going on. Indigenous TV brothers need NSA wiretaps for dating these days. Yeah. It is something to have a chick text you. Some people go far as recording conversations. Some people are more technologically inclined to me. They just know how to. I think it's a record button where you can just easily record phone conversations. I don't know how to do that, but bare minimum, if you're not either do that or record the the text message is automatically stored. The text message is automatically there. That's there forever. The text ain't going nowhere. So yeah, if she on the way to your house and then you say some kinky shit in the text and she, oblige, she reciprocates the conversation, then yeah, you got it on record that hold on, she said she was coming over here to do A, B, and C. There's ways like that to cover yourself if you can't afford having cameras set up in your house. Goshen says an average man can get jammed up with the law depending on the jurisdiction he resides in, which will severely damage his reputation. Yeah, I understand that. I'm not saying it's nothing to worry about at all. But typically it's the reputation of a celebrity or a huge public figure that whose reputation is on the line for damaging. Average guy working at a factory, some chick go left. Unless she's calling up to his job, what's she going to damage his reputation to? Unless she's just full blown. If she's full blown, okay, it's one thing to a full blown accuse somebody of graping you versus what predicated this conversation is at a scene of sorry situation where she agreed to come to his house and they were, kissing and necking, and I think it was even some oral going on, but she backed out of the actual sex. It was, even though it was some oral sex that took place, but she backed out of it, and then she went and ruined. She went and did some tabloid stuff. That's what I'm talking about. Some tabloid stuff. She would have a hard job getting him hurt under the law, is what I'm getting at. She have a really hard time getting him negatively affected as far as the law. I'm not saying women, they don't be on some BS. Don't get that twisted. I'm countering something that somebody said about the best bet is to go MGTOW monk. It's a lose-lose. Just go MGTOW monk. No, you don't got to go MGTOW monk. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying women are not problematic. I'm saying you don't got to go MGTOW monk. Little Big Nate says, what woman backs out after oral? That happens. That happens. It's very common. Malcolm in the Middle 87 says, Jamie Foxx Johnson slapped one chick. Huh? I don't know what Jamie Foxx got to do with that. That's I understand what a Johnson slap is, but I don't know what Jamie Foxx got to do with that.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Silent Lamont says, a consent app. Absolutely. That's a good one. That's a good one. But see, here's the thing with that. Women are so damn weird that they could be at your house wanting to have sex with you. They won't even want to sign the consent app. Because in the mind of women, they just love to, they always use that term, well, if the vibe is right, and they want it to just feel so free flowing, It's almost like that. The consent app will be the equivalent of how, it was some feminists saying that men need to stop before the sex is about to happen and get verbal consent from the woman that she's okay with having sex. Like, no, for the most part, a guy stopping the flow of the action and saying, are you okay with me having me put in my dick in your vagina? That typically will get a no response. I mean, unless you get smooth and seductive with it. I mean, shout out to ARC. You get I'm not even gonna bring up. We was talking about that the Ooh Say It Again audiobook. He be all breathing heavy into the mic on the audiobook. I ain't listening to that one. I mean, unless you get all that, but that formally asking for consent typically, if not done right, will dry up a vagina. That's the weird thing about it. You have to make sure consent is this and consent and that, but in the moment they like, no, just grab me by the back of my ponytail and bend me up. They so damn all over the place. JR says, use my self-ghost method. I always respond to gals' texts when they text, but I myself don't initiate communication. Eventually they self-ghost. Are you talking about after you've had sex with them? If you're talking about after you've had sex with them, that is a good subtle way of letting them know that you're no longer interested after the sex. Yeah, that unfortunately, that's how it normally happens. A lot of the times, once the sex is already taking place and okay, we having casual sex periodically, the person who's the least interested normally doesn't initiate none of the communication, and then the person who's more interested realizes that only time me and this person talk is when I initiate it, so then they pull back. That's sort of connected to or adjacent to the shout out to Black Ram 313, his pump and let her dump or catch and let her release. That's sort of how that happens. What you just described. Shout out to JR. Shout out to JR. He said a damn consent app. Number 16 says consent app would not work because they can stop consenting in the middle of the act. All it would take if for her to say she said stop during it. Yes. Yeah, they always got to out. They always got it out, and perhaps I'm just speaking from experience that for the most part, the chick come to your house for sex. She's either gonna have sex with you or she's not. I've had plenty renege. I've had plenty seem like they was all good, and then for whatever reason, it didn't go down. It didn't happen, and they left, and that was that. That's normally how it happens. Normally how it happens. Silent Lamont says, I just tell him my name Bernard. Shout out to Silent.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Lakeith S. Evans says, yeah, you're right. It's chauvinist. No biggie, no biggie, no biggie. I don't trip on people about that because I'm I make plenty of mistakes. Plenty of mistakes. He says, yeah, you're right. It's chauvinist. My bad. This whole Me Too movement has oppressed the sexual expression of men. We should stop caring and stop being afraid. Women like abuse anyway. That's a fact. We should exploit them. Shout out to you for the $20. Appreciate it. You where we at? Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? $20.
I want 150,000. But we can settle out of court right now for $20.
Man, get your
All right. Women like okay, let's try to unpack this one. Women like abuse, we should exploit them. If you're talking about women liking to be roughed up during sex, yes. Women liking the guy being a little aggressive, and in some cases, a lot of aggressive, yes. I mean, so I don't like when people make comments like the comment that you're making, but you're unclear about what you're talking about. You know, I can vibe with the, yes, Me Too movement to some, it has oppressed, I won't say oppressed, but well, I guess oppressed may be the right word. It has oppressed the sexual expression of men. Yes, can't be balls out. A lot of men feel like they can't be as balls out when pursuing a woman sexually. Yes. Even though she can't say that you attempted to grape her based off what you balls out said to her. That's one of Alan Roger Curry's points. Being ballsy and just saying it. Only thing she could say is, I don't like that guy. He's a jerk. He said something to me that made me feel uncomfortable. So, yeah. So, but I understand what you're trying to say. He says we should stop caring and stop being afraid. Women like abuse dude. This is damn near the wrong day to be just talking like that. I ain't gonna front with you. It's like I'm trying to be generous to saying that you're saying that, yeah, men need to be balls out and say what they want and be upfront and be clear. And yeah, women like that shit. So just go on and be hardcore about it. Be super direct and put it out there. And yeah. But like, dude, you're not saying that. So I have to question, what are you really saying? Like, I mean, I'm just saying, man. I told the story of how, and keep in mind, I typically wasn't very direct or mode one, but there was a time when, for whatever reason, I was feeling the vibe, and a chick walked by me, and hold on, real quick. Yeah. Rod of God podcast. If Whose Mans Is This was a person, whose mans is this? Yeah, if that was a person. There was a time when I guess, I don't know, I was feeling the vibe just right. A chick walked by and they say, you ain't supposed to do it. I just reached out and grabbed her hand. I was sitting in a chair at the club. She walked by me. I just reached up and grabbed her hand and pulled her in and kind of said something to her. And she leaned closer to want to hear what I had to say. And so I just took her leaning closer and her being that receptive to whatever I said, because whatever I said, well, she couldn't hear it. It was loud in the club. So I just grabbed her in position and poured her onto my lap and just started talking to her. Now, normally my game ain't that strong. Normally my game is normally weak, but for whatever reason that night I was in the zone. I was in the zone that night. I could have hollered at Beyonce that night while she was sitting next to Jay-Z. I was in the zone that night. Typically that's not the case. Typically I'm more quiet and, kind of lame and square in the corner. But that night I was feeling it. But pulled her into my lap and just started talking to her. Now, if he talking about men being little, ballsy and doing stuff like that, I mean, I'm not gonna knock it. And once it get to the point where some sex is when shit about to go down, yeah, some women do like to get roughed up and abused a little bit. But you're not being clear that that's what you're talking about. You're talking about just being grapey, and like we don't do that here. Like, come on, man. You said Mac and Santa. Yeah, pull him on your lap like Santa. And me and that woman, we didn't have sex that night. We had sex the next night. So I wouldn't all the way. I wouldn't, but we did have sex. Okay. So that's what y'all say. He ain't talking about that. So I shouldn't even consider him. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. He ain't talking about, you talking about some other stuff. Coach Greg Adams is Black Santa. Shout out to grown man business in the building. He says I took an X pill once, man. Excuse me. Oh shit, you did? That's wild. I never done nothing like that. He said I took an X pill once. Man, my mouthpiece could have raised the dead. I feel you. Because that night I had the right amount of liquor in me. I don't recommend this, but that's what I had to do to get out to get out of my. That's what I had to do to get out of my own head when it came to hollering at women. Because if you just in your own head, you may look at a chick and then the dating coaches say a lot of stuff that's true. You see a chick you want to talk to her, you need to just go immediately, like in the first 5 seconds of seeing her. Because if you wait more than that, you're going to talk yourself into not doing it. And I'm the king of doing that. So that's why I don't recommend it, but that's why I had to have a certain amount of liquor in my system so I could, get out of that talking myself out of not doing it. And so yeah, Leo, I think that liquid courage. So yeah, I had the right amount of liquid courage in me. If I don't have enough in there, I'll be right at I'll just be my normal self. If it go past that little perfect happy medium balance, then it'll be too much to where I'm, sounding stupid. But there is a perfect little medium ground, like a perfect middle level of liquor in my system where I'm still me, but just a bolder version of me. And when I get right at that point, oh yeah, I know what GMB talking about. You said his mouthpiece could have raised the dead that night. He could have went to a dead bitch and talked her into getting up and doing some shit for him. Could have. Shoot, there I said it. I've been there. Old English 9s, that ninja. Yeah. Haha, I have to apologize. I meant just not. letting this propaganda make you less of a man. Also, I trust no female, even when I'm hooking up. Fair enough. Okay, yeah, we try to have sensible conversations over here. We try to make sense. This ain't the place where you got to come in and say the most. Whoever can say the most ridiculous, ballsy, hardcore statement, yeah, you just prove you the most red pill because you said something the most ridiculous. Just not really somewhere between. You are so beautiful, and bitch, you want all this thing. Yeah, somewhere right in between there. Yeah, give or take. Give or take. Oh man, the hell. All right. All right. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to do something here. Give me one quick second. One quick second. But yeah, Judge Zilla, that's funny as hell. That is funny as hell. All right. All right. Now, going back to the title where I said technically shit, what did I title it? Bill Cosby technically not guilty even if he did it. Now, I do think it's very possible that he did that he did some of the stuff. I mean, all the women came forward. They said that he gave them some drugs. Some of it was consensual, I'm sure, because that was a normal drug back then. If you've watched one of my favorite non-science fiction movies, because I love science fiction movies, it's but one of my favorite non-science fiction movies is Wolf of Wall Street. Quaaludes was a very normal thing back then. So no doubt offering a woman a Quaalude, normal, par for the cause. It's very possible, and if we just go ahead and just accept that everything that they said about him can't be true, but it all can't be a lie either. If we go with that, that okay, he did do that. Little Big Nate is saying he admitted to drugging the ladies. He's saying that Bill Cosby admitted to drugging the ladies, or the way I understood it, he admitted to giving them drugs. They knew that they were handing a Quaalude, which was a drug equivalent back then as me passing you the blunt. That's not drugging somebody. However, even if we assume that everything that he said, that everything that's been said, if everything that was said, if we assume that it all can't be true, but it all can't be a lie. So some of those women that, yeah, Bill Cosby did probably, shout out to Ike that pass it. Some of those women, yeah, he did probably drug them. And people always make the argument that, okay, why would a handsome, rich man, in the 80s, late 70s, whenever all that stuff was going on, late 80s or 80s, let's just say 80s. Why would he do that? Some people do stuff like that because some people just wired different and they just do stuff. They have fetishes for certain things. They like to They like the power and control of whatever. Some people just do it. It's not the grape is normally not from I can't get access to it, so I'm going to take it. Is normally if you're doing that, you normally have some sexual perversion where you're going to do it regardless. That's how you get off. That's the long story short. That's how you get off. I was telling sex stories. I've told y'all about the woman that I dealt with who she got off from she had a grape fetish. That's what she got off on. So yes, there's some people who just that's how they get off. So that's one factor in the equation. So if that is the case, and if that did happen, okay, if that did happen, let's just go with the if that did happen, because that's one thing I put in there. If he did it, somebody said 1960s. No, he was. If he's 80, that means he would have been born in the damn near in the 60s. So he wasn't doing that in the 60s. He would have had to been an adult doing it in the 80s. All right, y'all, come on. Y'all got to not be stupid, okay? Mode 4, that's part of Alan Roger Curry's brand. Well, not well. Well, mode 4, that's not. Don't connect grape to a mold. Put it like that. The mold thing, yeah, that's his brand. Don't chill. Don't attach the R word to his brand. All right. Because truth be told, if anything, the stuff that he teach will decrease the probability that you will get falsely accused. So let's not pin that on him. Let's not attach that to him. And I did some bad math. Okay. I did some bad math. Okay, so he would have been born in. Okay, so he's born in the 40s. My bad. I got it wrong. My bad. Okay, so damn. My bad. I got it incorrect. Shout out to Mr. Fantastic in the building. Back from the back from the sea, man. I was about to send you. I didn't know that you was out at sea or nothing. I was about to send you email. I figured it was something like that. I figured it was something job related. Who knows? But I figured it was something like that. But I was about to email you, make sure that the sisterhood didn't have you tied up in a crawl space or nothing like that. Making y'all's gonna make sure they ain't come for you. But my bad on the bad math. My quick maths was terrible. I'm thinking Cosby Show was on in the 80s, and that's when all this stuff was going on, which it probably was still going on. But I don't know if it was. I think most of the stuff that they talking about was going on in the 80s. If it was going on in the 60s, no. I think most of the stuff was going on in the 80s. Y'all are right about when he was born. Yeah, y'all are right. My bad. 83 years old. Don't see the birthday, but whatever. We can do the math. William Henry Cosby, July 12th, 1937. So somebody said 1941 was still wrong. Damn. 1937. All right, my bad. I completely botched that. But shout out to Fantastic being back in the building. Yeah, silent. Yeah. 2 + 2 = 17. Quick math.
These last $2, I'm not gonna lose.
Yeah, it was a little different around this space when Ramil took a little break. He back now. Even though I heard you did say he don't like when people be on that welcome back stuff, but He's back from his little break. He took a break from going live. Ramil's back. Fantastic is back. No, he's 83, Little Big Nate. So I understand why you said that. He's 83. So we got it wrong. We got it wrong. We got it right now. And the Quaalude was a regular drug in the 80s, if I understand that correctly. No, Wolf of Wall Street was in the 80s. But either way it go, he didn't admit to drugging anybody, but he did admit to giving somebody some drugs. Like I said, it was equivalent of passing a blunt, offering somebody some of those drugs. But then there's the factor of, we ain't about no believe all women type stuff. We don't believe all women, but 60 women came forward. And if we just go with something I quite often go with, when it's that much stuff coming forward, it all can't be true. It all can't be a lie. So even if it was some truth in it, the part that I really want to talk about here is that let's just say that it's truth in it, that all of the women went lying. We know some of them was. You get 60 women, yeah, it's going to be a lot of lying chicks in there trying to figure out if any way, shape, or form they can capitalize off having sex with Bill Cosby in 1985. That's all that's happening here. That's all that's happening here with a lot of them. But some of them, granting that it was some truth. What route should we take when it comes to looking at a black man who, even if he did it, the statute of limitations, the unfair trial, how it was one woman up there saying that this happened, had no proof, and then a parade of other women start coming up there and they let those women get on the stand and say, he did this to me and he did this to me. Shout out to the lead attorney. He's explaining how it's like trials within trials. It was like a trial within a trial happening there. I like the way that he explained that. But those should all be separate trials. That shouldn't be the case. That was wrong because even though it was no evidence for the actual trial, it was no hard evidence. All the evidence is done and over with years ago, comfortably well over a decades ago. All the evidence is gone and done. So that creates a situation where, okay, they paraded a bunch of other women up there, the jury hearing all of that information, the jury hearing everything that these women are saying. So that's in their mind. So the jury is being swayed just by no evidence for him doing it to this particular woman, but saw these other women are being able to get on the stand and say, oh, he did it to me too. That was wrong. That's the unfairness of the trial. Then there was the deal that he took that they reneged on and everything. So through all those technicalities, you got to go with the not guilty, or at least say it was a bad trial. Throw the trial out, throw it out. That's essentially what happened. That's essentially what the Pennsylvania Supreme Court came to the conclusion of, that this wasn't a fair trial. This was BS. They threw it out. They got rid of it. They sent him home free. But it's still a question. But did he do it though? Because it's not like he got sent home free because the chicks was proved to be lying. And that was the route that Ramil went. And I respect where Ramil was saying, like, these hoes be lying. Stop believing these hoes. I'm with him. I'm with him. But looking at it from the perspective of, even if some of it was true, what we just saw was a black man beat the system on technicalities, which we see white people do all the time. We see wealthy white people beat the system on technicalities all the time. And when they do it, it's viewed as, hey, as white people, right? White people, they got power, they got money, they got power. They can beat the system. And there's, of course, some white people will see a white person beat the system and win, even though we all kind of know, yeah, that motherfucker was kind of guilty. But based off the legalistic wording of the law, based off this statute here and this technicality here, not guilty. And they're okay with that. And they're okay with that smack on the wrist based off technicalities. Now, not that this means that we've arrived as black people, but when a black person who possibly did some of the stuff that was accused of, but it was very hard to prove it. It was a court of public opinion type of trial, which is nonsense because the legal facts of what happened is really, really hard to prove. So should we look at that as should we look at these situations as a man is, that's why I put technically not guilty. Technically not guilty. And from a technical standpoint, even if he did it, it was wrong to charge him for it just based off what was said. Based off what was said, not what can be proved, but a bunch of people said it. It should be all individual trials, but to let all the women come parade through, that's legalistic. That's messy from a legal standpoint. Silent Lamont says everyone keeps dancing around it. What exactly did he say he did? He said he gave some women some Quaaludes. He didn't say he drugged them. He didn't say he gave it to them without their knowledge. He basically offered them some drugs that were common drugs in that time, which, like I said, it was the equivalent of passing the blunt. It was the equivalent of passing the blunt back then. That's what he admitted to. Now the chicks are saying that, oh yeah, he drugged us. I had no idea. He sprinkled it in my cup. He sprinkled it in my cup, unbeknownst to me. I passed out. I woke up in this apartment with my panties wrapped around my ankle. Shout out to Ramil Amir in the building. I know you don't like when we say welcome back, but welcome back to going live on your channel. Put it like that. Glad you're back going live. Hopefully you stick around for a good little while. I know you'd be having to take breaks from us because we understandably so. I just took a little break myself. I did a little vacation. I didn't tell y'all about it. I was in Atlanta just recently. I went to the Atlanta. Well, I told y'all on a previous stream where I was going. I still might post some of it on my Instagram, but I was at the Atlanta Hawks Milwaukee Bucks game 4, I believe that was. Or was that game 3? Might have been 4. I forgot which game it was. On Sunday, I was in Atlanta at the game. Definitely enjoyed it. But shout out to Ramil Amir. Just dropped $100 super chat. Y'all make sure y'all go. If y'all ain't subscribed to Ramil Amir, you're doing yourself a disservice. Make sure y'all subscribe to him. Moderators, drop Ramil Amir's links in the chat. Drop his links in the chat right now while we're speaking. And we'll know how I do whenever somebody drop $100 on us. We got to get Smokey to count it out for us. Make sure it's all there.
20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140.
That's $100.
Shout out to Ramil Lamir. Appreciate him coming through, dropping 100 on it. He says, LOL, he did not beat it on a technicality. Okay, let's break it down. He says he beat it based on a violation of due process. Okay. That's sort of what I meant by technicality. Your legal language. You understand that the legal language of it 10 times better than me. I was calling it a technicality, but I do understand it was a violation. Well, let me just read what you say to make sure I understand. Okay, he beat it on a violation of due process, where the prosecutor violated an agreement. Okay, that's what I was getting at when I said he backed out of that agreement, a deal, so to speak. I was calling that beating it on a technicality, but you call it it's actually called a violation of due process. Thank you for that. Said what the prosecutor violated an agreement. Also, the court said that the extra testimony's evidence was in bad faith. Yep, he never admitted to drugging anyone, only giving them stuff. Absolutely right on, right on, right on. Shout out to Ramil Lamir. I should be seeing his links in the chat right now. Yeah. You tripping. You're tripping big. You tripping real hard if you ain't subscribed to Ramil. So make sure you go over there and check out Ramil Amir. About to open this bad boy up pretty soon. But one thing I do want to talk about, I want to talk about it from this perspective. This is what I want y'all to talk about. I want to get y'all thoughts and opinions on. Whether it's technicality, violation of due process, whatever the hell. Let's go with and assume that all the stuff that them chicks said can't be true, but all of it can't necessarily be a lie. Even if some of it is true. Even if some of it is true, in that he did some of the stuff that was on the table that he was accused for. Are we as black people good with a full-blown not guilty? Nope. Y'all fucked up on a technicality or a violation of due process. As Ramil said, we don't give a damn if he did it or didn't do it. Legalistically, y'all fucked up. So send that nigga home free. Because white people be beating the system on stuff like that too. And that was essentially what I want to talk about. What I want y'all opinion and perspectives on. Link is in the chat. Let's get it. Link is in the chat. And while we wait for people to come up, a completely off subject thing. Well, hold on. Well, I'm talking about waiting for people to come up. I may not have to go off subject while I wait for people to come up. Oh, well, we got a good one going on here right now. We got Fantastic back from the abyss. let me get this mic on. Hold on. Let me get this turned on. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Fantastic. Welcome back from the sea. You was outlaw for a minute.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
can you hear me good?
Yeah, we can hear you. You good. Welcome back.
I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, man. It's crazy. I was waiting on the flight to get back up here yesterday, and then I saw the headline hit. So yeah, man. The whole thing here is, like I said, I'm glad to see that he was released and absolved of the crime. Like you said, this is the biggest thing that people are missing, man. It's the danger of the whole Me Too thing. Is that the R word is the only thing where you're guilty until proven innocent, especially as a black man. And I hope people understand, the damage is irreversible, because Bill Cosby was like one of the first, household black guys. And if you guys remember, and I remember this personally because they even gave him a military award. They made him like an honorary chief in the Navy, and they stripped him of that. A lot of HBCUs stripped him of his honorary degrees with them. So that imagery and public pretty much sacrifice and execution they did on his image, bro, that'll never be reversed, unfortunately. So I think the most important thing, man, is when we can't take this lightly as black men, and challenge all of these dudes in positions of power to step up and do something about it, because this should have never got this far. You know, all these people that talk about racism, this, racism, that. The statutes of limitations and the laws was changed just for this trial for the Bill Cosby thing. But I don't think people remember it, because originally Pennsylvania had a statute of limitations, and they vacated it or changed the laws just so they could have this trial and pretty much make a big media thing about this. And
But wait, hold on. Let me ask you this, and you touched on a real good point. There's a lot of black people with a lot more money than us, who I would even say a lot smarter than us, no more than us. They should have been able to look at this and say, wait a minute, this stuff is wrong. Let's raise hell on behalf of Bill Cosby. And a lot of them didn't do that. I'm thinking it could have something to do with black people looking at it from the perspective of, oh yeah, Bill Cosby did that shit. But wait, hold on. It legalistically was wrong as hell. So let's fight the legal system on some. I don't care if he let's just, even if he did it, y'all legally on some bullshit. So we about to fight y'all on everything y'all got wrong legally. Why do you think black people with money and influence and power just sitting there, just laying in the cut, not raising hell about it?
Well, remember, again, a few years back, black women in particular got mad with him because he had the whole pound cake thing. Remember the analogy? And he's one of the first dudes to indirectly speak of the detriment of these single mother raised young black boys, as to where no matter what they did, their mothers were defending them. We saw this happen with the Detroit 300. And he was the biggest, black male influence to come out and, challenge what he saw going on. And again, too, like I said, you remember the generation he came from, and what he represented as being the father of just like the black community, and him speaking from a point of, wisdom and just, I just good objectivity. They abandoned him. And, as in turn, because people want to keep their money and their status and whatnot, they dare not go against the Leviathan, which is the black woman's opinion of a person. And, the crazy thing about it is right before he went in, we got all these new black billionaires, from Jay-Z to Kanye was on the way. Dr. Dre was close, and all these people, man. But, no one stepped up and, either paid for him an even better defense or anything, because they're more concerned with, keeping their dollars going than understanding the importance of the black male image that far outweighs any dollar amount. So yeah, man, I ain't gonna hog it up too much, bro. I just want to hop back on here, man. Appreciate you for having me on, man. And I'll get back up with y'all later, because I'm at work right now, so I'm stealing money. So I appreciate you, bro. I'll do that.
Cool. Peace, fantastic. Glad you're back in the saddle. Go ahead, Sir Tice. You got the floor. You got the mic. Well, hold on. Shout out to Perfect Storm real quick. He said Cosby is Boule, and I don't care what happens to Boule. Man, get out of here with that. But a lot of black people did. Probably because of those comments that they wouldn't really riding with him that much. Because I just watched some dude named, I just found out about him, named Dr. Richie, some liberal guy, pretty good at debating, by the way. He pretty damn good at debating conservatives. Black dude. He kind of think he connected to the Young Turks in some way. Pretty good. He basically was just saying, because of all the stuff that Bill Cosby said, he's like, let's not forget that he, threw black people under the bus, and he said he made all the stuff that Fantastic got brought up.
See, that's
and then so yeah, a lot of people, black liberal minded people, looked at him as, already went left. You like if Larry Elder gets some legal issues, we ain't rallying behind Larry Elder. That's how a lot of black people looking at it.
And that's part of the problem, Bernie. Good morning. Good morning to the chat. What up, Keith? Fantastic forgot to mention, this all really came because Cosby wanted to buy NBC, okay? So this is why this all really happened, okay? That's a joke, by the way. But I think that people only concerned about Cosby being Boule after that pound cake speech. Before then, he was a pillar in the community. He's the reason why black college enrollment had an uptick. Okay, so we can throw that out. My only point of contention with all of this is, and I posted in the chat, Bernie, the actual deposition where he did admit to giving Quaaludes. Go to page 6 if you guys actually want to read that. But regardless of what he did, the way that the laws are in this country, and this is actually where I'll agree with many people who consider themselves on the left, is that it's how it's applied, as I think Fantastic was just mentioning. You know, he only admitted those things under that deposition based on he wasn't going to be charged for anything, and it was sealed. And then later on, a judge, I don't want to say illegally, but this is where Fantastic was referencing, basically passed a law that that deposition could be unsealed, which basically opened up Pandora's box. So if we don't have this deposition that was unsealed, it's all hearsay at this standpoint. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they were only able to do it because they were able to use the words. He used his words against them, and they was only able to use his words against them because they backed out of an agreement. If I that's what you're saying. That's how
that's exactly what I'm saying. So now I think the reason he's released, and this is where someone like the lead attorney could better answer this question than me, is one reason why the law is important. I've actually even heard Ramil say things like this, is that they have to follow the letter of the law to an extent because it opens up Pandora's box to future other lawsuits. You know, okay, what about these cases? And it could open up something. So it's like, okay, we've done, and dare I say, I don't want to get out to the conspiracy of they wanted to have another set of billionaires to come in and the floodgates because he's part of the old guard. But you have to wonder, why was he used as the example? You know, why did his whole dominoes start coming down right after that pound cake thing? You know, Mr. America's dad is now the pariah, or that nigga ain't shit, or he's a boule. Fuck that nigga. You know, you have to wonder why that was, and that there's some credence. Lastly, I'll end up saying one thing we definitely know is he's definitely not blonde like they said he was before he was going into jail.
Yeah, that nigga looked like he had 2020 in there. He went out there with a little walking stick and some shade.
Right.
He was walking in front of everybody when they walked back to the car to leave. Like,
no blind walking stick or none of that shit.
You knew where the fuck he was going. Yeah, he was on some bull. That man ain't blind.
All right. I'm gonna hop off. I gotta bail. Thanks, Bernie.
All right, cool. Peace. The link in the chat. Anybody else want to come on up? Silent Lamont in the building. You got the flow. You got the mic.
Actually, give me about 15 seconds.
Man, you ain't never ready.
I've been ready for like 10 minutes. I've been waiting on y'all. Y'all come.
See, I was just about to say, you be ready as hell. I don't call on you for 5 minutes, and then when I call on you, oh shit, I ain't ready now. Like, goddamn, silent. But anyway, shout out to everybody in the building. I haven't even been looking at the likes. They probably tell they over 50%, 300 people in the building. Well, we've been on the air for an hour and 40 minutes, so we should be. The likes normally start catching up by now, but definitely hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you haven't already. I got 13 thumbs down, 13 dislikes on this bad boy.
I'm bad. I had to get my Chad Johnson on this morning. I just did a little 4 miler, man. I'm hot as hell. It's hot as hell indeed.
You just ran 4 miles?
Yeah, man.
Good for you. Good for you.
Man, I'm trying to stay competitive, bro.
I know, man. You can't. You gotta be in shape when you're out there still trying to chasing around 22-year-old ladies.
Yeah.
You gotta stay in shape.
Gotta stay on it, man.
Yeah.
So my personal, you know me, man. I think the truth could be conflicting. Now, me personally, I'm on two sides, right? I was on the because me and my barber used to chop it up about the Bill Cosby. When the whole pull your pants up. Roger that. Yes, sir. When Bill Cosby was on the pull your pants up. Ain't no racism, yada yada yada, right? Mm-hmm. So on one hand, I'm like, hey, you got your Jonathan Price moment. You understand? That's a reminder to us black people that, when we get to shucking and jiving, the next time it could be your ass. That's no, but on the second hand, I'm like, hey, if he got off on a technicality, if that's what you want to call it, I don't give a fuck. Because these other people, they have no problem getting their people off on a technicality.
That's what I was getting at. That was low key the point of the stream. Are we to a point where we don't care that much about right or wrong? We just trying to win. We want our we want our people getting off on technicalities if other people been doing it.
Because the difference is nobody phrases it like that for their people. No one ever phrases it like, oh, so no, they got off. The system worked. Believe in the law and all that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's only when we beat the system, oh, now you want to be able to get around and skirt. Nick, these people been skirting the system for generations. Don't talk to me about that shit. Fuck out of here. I don't want to hear that morality talk. Not, you know what I mean? No. But see what I'm saying? So I'm saying, hey, but on a third note, what exactly did he say? See, I hear everybody doing the he said he gave him drugs, so whatever, the 60 women and blah, blah, blah. Nah. What did he say? What exactly happened? Because that shit, I don't give a fuck if it's 60 women, 600 women, 1,200 women, 160. None of that shit matters. Everybody, again, gets into this world and then forgets that yesterday happened. We all know how the real world works. People are going out, partying, drinking, having drugs, having sex. That's the way the real world works. Now, everyone can get on the internet and talking about, hey, consent to touch my ear and can I stick it in and just a tip. Listen, that's bullshit and everybody knows it. But we live in this fucking world now where no one can just be fucking honest. You fuck while you're high. You fuck while you're drunk. She gets a little bit drunk so she can get the courage to fuck a guy. Let's just be real, man. Like, but we can't just be honest because we don't want to piss the wrong people off. Well, are you victim blaming? That's bullshit. If a motherfucker come over your crib, they drink, you know, she come over to Netflix and chill. You offer her a drink. She wants to get a little loose and get in the mood and all that. That's how the real world happens. Ain't nobody signing consent apps. So, again, what exactly did he say he did?
He said he gave them drug, Quaaludes, offered them Quaaludes. I don't even, okay, I got to look and see if he worded it, if it was worded specifically as this. I offered them Quaaludes and they accepted it. That, I don't know if he said it exactly like that, but either way it go, they apparently spun it as in I gave them Quaaludes, as in, oh, he drugged them. But no, I believe he admitted to offering them Quaaludes, which was the drug of the day. Like I said, it was the equivalent of passing a blunt back then.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So let's not get on, all of a sudden we get online and then he drugged, because words matter. So I'm just saying people full of shit.
Yeah.
I'm just saying keep your shit consistent. And I'm saying, hey, you got your Jonathan Price moment. Hopefully that's your wake-up call. But I'm also saying these other people ain't got no problem getting their people off.
Right, so, right, and that's where I'm at with it. You know, like I said, technicality. Ramil worded it a lot better than I did. I think the $100 super chat.
My brother.
All right, cool.
Appreciate you, G.
No doubt. Ramil worded it a lot better than I did. I think the super chat is still up there. He said he beat it based on a violation of due process. You know, where the prosecutor violated an agreement. I called it a technicality, but that's the correct wording of what happened. So then, it does legitimately turn into a situation where even if he did it, they messed up and did some BS, and he got off because of that. When other people get off on stuff like that, it's normally, we have to trust the law, the legal system, the judicial system. We have to trust the law. We have to trust the legal system. The blah 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 and this or that, but black people, and this goes back to black people and perhaps not understanding power. Sometimes it don't matter what's right or what's wrong. It's the result. What result do you want? Go and get that result. That's what America is about. It's about getting a result. Get your feelings out of it. Try to win. That's how I think a lot of other people look at it. And I think black people don't necessarily look at it that way. But shout out to Rod of God Podcast. He says, let's get the likes to 225. Right on. Absolutely. Shout out to Rod of God Podcast. Appreciate the $20 super chat. And like I said, I did not see your debate on the Prophet of Thought series. Shout out to Brother Xavier, who's on the panel. I'm about to pass the mic to him real soon. I didn't see your debate on there with MOT, but I know it was wild. I got to go watch that as soon as I get a chance. But shout out to you. And now I gotta pass it to my main man, Brother Xavier.
Only from TPOT Media. Open your minds.
You got the floor, you got the mic.
Peace, Brother Bernard and everybody else. I'm actually getting used to you playing that. I can really get used to you playing that whenever I come on. But I think what people are missing here when it comes to Cosby, Bill Cosby was doing the same stuff that every other celebrity was doing at that time. I mean, that was like a thing back then, right? You know, sex, drugs, rock and roll. Everybody was snorting coke and taking mushrooms and dropping acid and the whole nine.
Like I said, it was like just passing the blunt. Like I'm not a smoker, but like I've said, my brother's an avid smoker. He grows, so he grows it. So I know how that go. I'm around smokers quite often, and it's just a regular thing that they just, you know. I've been declining the blunt for like the last 20 years. I don't know why they still they want to pass it to me every chance they get. I'm like, nah, I don't smoke. But either way it go, yes, that's what Quaaludes were like back then. People offered them all the time. But
yes,
go ahead.
Yes, I mean, you know, and he just got cherry picked for whatever reason. But we got to look at it. I mean, Bill Cosby, very famous, very popular. Not just black people liked him, white folk liked him too. And, you know, no one paid it any mind until he was an old man.
Mm-hmm.
He was an old man where whatever he did back then, it wasn't going to, nothing, there was no way you could take it back. There was no way for these women who claim, you know, he conspicuously or nefariously, you know, gave them these drugs that they took with open hand. You know, there's no getting justice for that. All right. Do you actually think chicks that you might have when you were younger, you bought a 6-pack of Old English and smoked a blunt with them, can they come back 20 years later and say, oh man, you fed me Old E and smoked the good ganja with me and we ended up having sex and I didn't want to? I mean, there's no justice being reaped from this. All right. There's no justice being reaped. Now, the man is 83 years old now, you know, partially blind. You know, he's going to have to live out the rest of his days. And we want to try to count this as winners and losers. That's something that we do a lot, you know, especially us black folk. You know, we like to count winners and losers. And they look at Bill and they say, well, this is a win for him and it's a win for us. I disagree, because see, that man's life is never going to be the same now. And because likewise, like those women who he was with 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, they will never be able to reap justice from what they claim he did. Likewise, Bill Cosby isn't going to reap justice from this. You don't give him that 2, 3, 4, whatever years he spent in jail back. He can't get that back. So there's no justice for him at the end of this either. His name is tainted. 3 years off of his life gone. Whatever he does, wherever he goes, he's going to be looked at as, you know, Cosby, the Quaalude dispensing pervert. So yeah, I mean, there's no winners and losers here. There's none. And far as the people who say, well, the people who have a problem with him getting out, the people who have that problem, it's not a win. It's not a win for them because they're salty. Because we know, I talked about this last night, Bill Cosby fell out of our good graces when Bill Cosby started telling the truth about black folks. Ooh. Let's be honest. All right. He fell out of the grace of black people because he started telling the truth about some of the shit our black asses do. Right? Now, we often talk about, man, how, oh, black people don't like the truth. They hate the truth. The truth hurts. No, 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 no. It's not that black people don't like the truth, man. Black people like the good truth. They like the truth when some lies are kind of intermingled in with it. You know, they want the truth to be subjective, you know, because I may fall into that category that's being described. Maybe I don't. You know, I can kind of vacillate, you know, in between those two things. So I don't believe the whole black people don't like the truth shit. Absolutely not. Because guess what? If you telling the truth to black people and it's something that they like and agree with, they don't have a problem with it. But it's that truth that exposes the dysfunction, that truth that exposes the ignorance, that truth that exposes how the causation, all right, of the things that we go through. Now, those truths we don't want any parts of. You shouldn't be talking that. And they remember, they accused Cosby back then. They said, oh, he's airing our dirty laundry. Because black folks, we're such a secretive people, right? What your mama used to say, don't you be telling people what's going on in this house, even though my boyfriend's coming in your room at night and touching on you. Don't tell anyone about this stuff. Let's keep it a secret. Let's keep it a secret that I break your piggy bank open and use it to buy liquor and beer. Let's keep that a secret. Let's keep it a secret that I leave you home by your damn self all the time. You know, don't get me started on these old mamas. You know, don't get me started there. So as black people, we don't want people to tell the truth about the bad crap that we do, about the stuff that makes us look bad. Because in black people's minds, that's subjective as well. That's subjective. Oh, selling dope, that don't make us look bad. Robbing liquor stores, that don't make us look bad. Smoking crack, that don't make us look bad. So, you know, you got this subjective truth and subjective outrage. So, of course, people are going to be split on the arrest of Cosby and the release of Cosby. Because, see, all that stuff is subjective truth, depending on who you're talking to and likewise who you're listening to. But that's all.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Gail Lockett in the building with the $5 super. Shout out to Gail. Does a good job moderating down there. She's moderating on quite a few channels in this space. If just one of those women would have spoke up back then, they would have publicly lynched Cosby and we wouldn't know him the way we do now. That is technically true. Shout out to you. Yeah,
but doesn't that imply that they were trying to protect him, or doesn't that imply that?
That's what I was fumbling on when I read that. If they were trying to protect him then why would the protection stop?
Yeah.
So it does turn into a situation of, okay, the protection stopped when Me Too took off, and is women getting paid and broke off money for stuff that happened a while back? Well, let me come out and do something. But so it's a stupid situation either way. If we accept that premise that, okay, all the stuff happened, the only reason they didn't say nothing because they were interested in protecting Bill Cosby. They didn't want his reputation to be ruined. They were actually concerned about that. They didn't want to put America's dad on blast, so they swept it under the rug. They kept quiet about it. I have a hard time buying that argument. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree. I mean, you know, if it was a problem back then, well, let me say this: if it's a problem now, that means it was a problem then.
Right.
You know, if someone shot you 20 years ago and you still talk about it today, guess what? The day after you got shot, it hurt like hell. All right. So it was a problem then. So, I mean, the reason I have a hard time with this is because now, mind you, I'm not one to say that, oh, absolutely nothing happened. I mean, something happened that only Cosby and the chicks know of.
I'm glad you
But
said that, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm on that too. Some stuff went down. Like I say, all of it can't be true, but everything can't be a lie. Okay, he did something. He did some stuff that probably shouldn't have did. I will grant some of that, but either way it go,
yeah, I mean,
it's
something was going on with
yeah,
Mr. Cosby. Like I say again, between the chicks and Mr. Cosby. But what I really have a problem with is that the time frame that everybody comes up and says he was doing these things.
exactly.
It kind of looks like those hot girl summers were happening 20, 30 years ago, and let's be honest, Brother Cosby was bending them over the couch, as Brother Obsidian says. He's bending them over the couch. And, it's almost as if they sat back and reflected on it, now that they old broads, and they're like, oh, you know what? I regret doing that. I regret, getting on my knees for a quaalude. I regret, busting it wide open 30 years ago to Bill Cosby. It's sort of like that kind of crap where, they done sat back, thought about it, and now they regret it. So now they need to tell somebody, they need to tell their truth. That kind of nonsense. That's
Yeah,
kind of how it looks to me.
yeah,
But
it is looking like it. You touched on something, and trust me, I hate to bring R. Kelly into this because, like I said, there's evidence that he did some things that he did, try to keep it clean. He did some things that he did with some underage girls. However, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff.
Brother Raleigh,
Huh?
Brother Raleigh,
What?
his mind was telling him no, but his body was saying yes.
the
Go
the
ahead.
point the point that I want to make here is that a lot of them grown chicks that was involved with it
Mhm.
was okay with everything, even if they started out legally at they was 18. They aged out. Now they some old hoes.
Yep.
They
Yep.
turned into some old hoes. They aged out, and now they trying to figure out what benefit they could get from it now. They didn't properly cash out or cash in on it then. Let me see if I could get some type of benefit on the back end, even if it's just some attention. That's a factor in the equation too with a lot of this. Now, keep in mind when I say that the stuff that R. Kelly did, like it's okay. The Aaliyah she was underage.
Yes.
Strong evidence that they was having sex. She was
Yes.
underage. The chick in the video was underage. Strong video evidence that they was having sex.
Indisputable.
And there's another chick who met him at one of his trials who was underage, and not as quite as strong evidence, but it's pretty good evidence that this chick that they was having sex. That stuff, I got no cape for R. Kelly for that. They was underage. You broke the law. Is what it is. Done. I no. It's what lock them up. I can't fight with you. I can't fight for you if you're just that damn guilty. However, when I watched that surviving R. Kelly thing, it was a lot of situations where it's like these chicks sound like they just bitter because they just aged out of the program and they couldn't get on no more. I mean, it was a lot of that going on. It was so I'm talking about those that were of age that was in his combine trapped in the bedroom or whatever. He had some of them trapped in a closet, allegedly couldn't leave, even though I don't think nobody was going to physically tackle them if they tried to walk out the door. But he had women, I'm not going to relitigate the whole Surviving R. Kelly documentary that they made, but it was a lot of age women who stated that yes, they were of age when it all was happening, but they still trying to pretend like they victims. It's a lot of that going on, and I see a lot of that with the whole with the y'all can still hear me with the Bill Cosby thing as well. They basically got old. They looking back at what they did. They feeling some type of way about it. They feeling some type of way about what happened. And yeah, they trying to do whatever they can.
Yeah,
Whatever they
you
can.
know,
It all can't be, like I said, it all can't be true. It all can't be a lie. Some of them
yeah,
are on that same bullshit.
there's some similarities there, but like you said, brother R. Kelly is is a different kind of case. Um, with 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 Cosby, it's different because it's sort of like all these women they went to a casino, like 20 years ago,
Mm.
and they betted on black, 20 years ago, and they lost a little money. And then, fast forward 20 years, they come back to the casino and say, hold up, wait a minute. I meant to bet on red that night. So you owe me whatever the jackpot was that night 20 years ago, back in, 19 freaking 90, 1995. Or, you owe me that now. So it's kind of like that. It's always like, because let's be honest here, all right? We know this now. We've known it then. Back then, it's the same as it is now. Women like powerful, rich men, right? I mean, that's just what it is. If you're a rich man, you're famous, you have money. I mean, come on. Women like you, all right? The women that are around you, you're not sticking a desert eagle to their head to make them be around you, all right? They're around you because of who you are, what you have, what you do, all right? So these women with Cosby here, not so much as Brother Kelly, but with Cosby, these women were around him. They were in the places he was. They were into him. They were being around this man. They were in his hotel rooms. They were at his crib. They were around this guy. It's not like he manipulated them or did some Jedi mind trick on them, because they were teenagers or some nonsense like that. Come on, man. These were grown ass women around Cosby. All right. They knew exactly what they were doing. All right. When they were pulling their drawers down and taking off their shirts, they didn't think, they were changing for a rehearsal. No, they knew exactly what they were doing when they were around that man. And to come up now and say, oh my God, he did this to me. Oh, he molested me. Oh, he drugged me. Oh, I didn't want to do it. Something just came over me. It made me get on my knees and open my mouth. Come on, man. It's BS. It's all BS. And I'll tell y'all this. It has a lot to do with how this country is. Because let's flip it on its head, right? What if Brother Cosby was a female, right? And all the accusers were males. And they all came up and say, hey, this girl, she put something in my drink. She dropped a Quaalude on me. She injected me with something while I was asleep. And the next thing I know, I looked up. She was on top of me, going bananas. We wouldn't even care.
Well, what you just described was part of the plot of Coming to America 2, and nobody cared when it happened there. They just glossed right over it.
No, I mean, no one would even care. No one would care, man. We wouldn't. But as females, they get up there, they cry and say, oh, I was only 25. I didn't know what the hell was going on. You kidding me? When I was 25, I had 3 kids, a house, 2 cars, and a damn career. But you, at 25, you just didn't know what you were doing. You had no idea what a man's penis was used for, nor did you know what your vagina and mouth was used for at 25. Come on, man. I find it hard to believe, but then again, I'm just an old Negro, so I don't know. But that's all.
Right on. Good stuff. We got I'll address you by the screen name I see here. We got Uncle Ruckus up here. What's going on?
So you already know who it is.
Yeah, I know who it is.
Hey, what's up, Bernard?
What's up? What's up?
Uh,
Jonathan Barronville for the people that don't know. Unless I don't know if he was trying to be incognito.
it's cool. It's cool with
No.
me. It's cool with me. So yeah. I don't know if you. I've been in and out of a few things here, so I don't know if you already covered this, but well, actually, before I say that, so there's one thing you mentioned earlier in the stream, Bernard, that I want to touch on because you were talking about average men, this problem not necessarily being a problem for average men. And I actually want to respectfully disagree with this because so there's actually a case right now. If you look up this brother named Albert Wilson, he's out of Kansas. This is actually a case that I know personally because my buddy Brylan, who I've worked with, he's a good friend of mine. That's his best friend, and he's serving a 12-year sentence right now. He was sentenced. He was sentenced, I believe, last year, in 2019, because we were like Brylan was organizing for this in 2018, throughout 2019. The case, if you go to freealbertwilson.com, you can learn about it. But this is a young man who was in college. He's just in college. He met this girl at the bar. Again, the name is Albert Wilson. Albert Wilson, freealbertwilson.com. He was in college. He met this girl at the bar, and there's video surveillance of the girl and I think one of her friends approaching him first. Okay, so they approached him. And it's a white girl, by the way. This is very important context. It's a white girl. She approaches him at the bar, and they get they get along pretty well, and then they end up leaving the bar. And there's video surveillance of them, making out outside. And even in the video surveillance, you could see that the girl is the one doing a lot of, the wrapping her legs around him and all that. They basically managed to spend like 15 minutes together, from the time that they leave the bar until they return to the bar. It's about 15 minutes together. The distance from the bar to his apartment is about like 5 minutes, I believe. So it took 5 minutes for him to walk to his apartment, and there's also some street video surveillance, and another 5 minutes for them to return. So they only were at his apartment for about 5 minutes. There's no DNA evidence, and they actually did a rape kit. A grape kit. They actually did violation kit and whatnot. There's no DNA evidence, and she basically claims that he did this to her and whatnot. Yeah, that's him right there. He's serving a sentence right now. He was sentenced, and they gave him an all-white jury. So I just want to highlight stuff like this, where this is a young man right here who his life, even if he gets out, his life is screwed. His life is screwed. And from what Brylan tells me, he had an athletic career as well, etc. So the timeline doesn't make sense. There's the evidence doesn't make sense. There's literally they testified under oath that the DNA that they found just doesn't align with the DNA evidence that they have doesn't align with what the story that she was saying, or something like that. So the point I'm trying to make is that when you say this, the average men don't have to worry about this actually became a really huge case in Kansas, because everybody could see that a lot of people were calling it straight up a lynching of a young man, because she's a white girl and she just went and there seems to be an issue here where her father is a powerful man. Like if you look up the girl's father, she's a powerful man, and he's a white, obviously a white man. And there's a whole context behind it of why this dude, this young brother is, his life is screwed forever, right? So this is why I think for me, stories like that, I don't take them lightly, right? Like when you hear people, making these accusations, I really think people should look into them. So now back to Bill Cosby, right? I wanted to just highlight that point because I think that could happen to the everyday man.
I had pointed out that things can certainly happen, but somebody was in the chat room. They were saying this is lose dating women, go MGTOW monk. I don't think the situation is as dire to where men need to go full blown MGTOW monk, but things can happen. So good stuff. Bringing this up.
Yeah. So, back to Bill Cosby. I think somebody already brought this up. Like I said, I've been in and out of the stream, right? But I mentioned this on I was on Lead Attorney show briefly yesterday, and I mentioned this on his show that one of the things that I noticed a lot of people keep saying is Bill Cosby admitted this. Bill Cosby admitted this, right? And in his deposition, and most people are not actually reading the deposition; they're just reading news headlines. And I don't think most people understand that the media has as a job to frame things, right? And so if you actually read the transcript of what he was asked specifically, this is extremely important. The question that he was specifically asked, and here's the exact question, was, when you got the Quaaludes, was it in your mind that you were going to use these Quaaludes for young women that you wanted to have sex with? And Bill Cosby answered yes. Now, there's a lot of important context here.
Mm-hmm.
The first important context is that this is a lawyer that asked this question. Lawyers don't ask questions just for shits and giggles. Okay, like I'm sure those lawyers spent a lot of time preparing those questions before, and that's an opposition lawyer, right? This is not his lawyer. Okay, so they spent their time, framing those questions to get the response that they wanted. They're not stupid, right? And that question, though, is actually a very vague question because, if you've ever been to parties, I've been to, a ton of parties, Bernard, where there's just coke everywhere, and like people do a lot of this stuff openly. But even more so, I've personally, and I don't smoke weed anymore. I haven't smoked any weed since I was a teenager. But I've had women, Bernard, that before I smashed them, they asked me, like, you smoke? You know what I'm saying? Like, especially the hood boogers, right? Like they want to know, they want to know if you smoke weed, etc. Like, now, if I went and I bought some weed and then I was asked that exact question and we just replaced Quaaludes with weed, my answer would be yes. I went and bought this weed so I could smoke with this girl I'm about to smash, right? So it's the idea that he just admitted to drugging women because he gave them drugs. A lot of people don't understand that drug culture is an actual thing. Like, there are people who actually, do drugs openly, who, I've seen people pop pills like it's nothing. I've personally seen it, like with my own eyes. So, people just don't understand. Just because you don't partake in something, don't assume that there are not people out there actually doing it. Don't assume that there are not women out there who are not basically saying, hey, I need some drugs before I smash you. Like, there are women who will literally say that to you, right? So I'm not trying to say that, Bill is innocent. And if he actually did something bad, then I think, he should get the consequences that he deserves for it. But this idea that he just admitted it and no one actually does the reading, they just look at media headlines without understanding that the media has as a goal to frame things. That's literally.
We talked about that earlier in the show. You worded it, you gave more details to it, but essentially, yeah, we understood that he gave. I mean, he said that he gave or intended to give women Quaaludes, but he didn't say he drugged them. He didn't say it was a without consent type of thing. So, like you said, they worded it very specifically that way. But yes, he intended to give women, just like shout out to DJ Kuda. He's talked about the bag of weed game. Like, some dudes, that's normal game that dudes have. They be talking to a chick for a couple minutes, be like, you smoke? And yeah, well, let's go smoke. That was normal. That was normal game. That's normal game today. Quaaludes were a fairly normal thing back then. So we understood that they, in a roundabout way, made it seem like he admitted to drugging women, but he didn't ever admit to drugging women. He just admitted to offering drugs or giving drugs or had intentions to give drugs to women.
Right.
So, that was understood.
Or a chick could tell you, hey, I like to, have a glass of wine before we smash. So can you get some wine, before I come over today? And then I'm gonna go and buy that wine. And now suddenly, did you buy this wine to, have sex with this young lady? Yes, I did. And then the headline says, Jonathan admitted to getting women drunk before. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just it's a reframing of a seemingly innocent question. So anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
real quick, hold your thought, brother Xavier. Is there? I said in the middle of the super chat. He said Cosby didn't know his place. Okay, buying NBC. Kobe about to challenge the NBA. Then okay, I should have read that before. Come on, man. You don't go full conspiracy theory. Kobe about to challenge the NBA. Then suspect tragedy. There's more to this. CIA black men be advised. Okay, sure. Okay, sure.
I can't tell if Ike is trolling me right now or if he's
Ike.
But
let's see, what is Ike talking about? He said, "Good job, Jonathan. Concise."
No, because I be long-winded sometimes. I'm no Ed. I'm no Ed, but yeah.
Well,
you were
only
very,
one hurricane. There's only one.
Yeah, you were very concise. I don't think he's trolling you. I think Ike is being honest and straightforward, and he thinks that you were very concise, and yeah, he did a good job. Did a good job breaking down the. He said, "Nah, for real." It was nice and concise. All right, go ahead, brother Xavier.
Yeah, plus, like I said, there's only one Hurricane Edward. He has no equals. I think the biggest problem with these kind of cases, right? Especially cases that involve powerful men, uh, rich men, celebrity men, and you add to it a sexual. It has a sexual nature to it because we're under the guise that men impose, quote unquote, impose sex on women as opposed to women being active participants in said sex. That's kind of how it's perceived most of the time. I guess based on the guy that you are, right? What position you are, what position you hold as a man, you imposed, this sex on this woman. She wasn't an active participant. Her mind was somewhere else while you were doing this to her body, which sounds totally ridiculous. But that's the perception. That's how it kind of comes across when you talk about cases like this, because these type of things happen every freaking day, especially when you're talking about brothers. Brothers get accused of doing these things to women all the time. Just the difference with brother Cosby is that it was a multitude of women. I think 30, 40, 50, whatever. So, this is this thing where he did all of this. He had this stable, he had this brothel, he had this, this whole menagerie of freaking women that he was just imposing his sex on, because he stepped into the party with a pocket full of Quaaludes. I think that's the perception of it. So it's designed to make him look like the bad guy off top, whether he did time for it or paid civil suits for it or whatever. It's designed to make him look like the bad guy, as if he was the only person in that room when he was doing what he was doing with these women. So I mean, this is always going to be, it's always going to be this way when you get some famous rich brother around a lot of women, and some of those women have regrets. All right, when some of those freaking women have regrets, because I believe it only started with a couple of them, then it just ballooned to 60. They just kind of was like, oh yeah, I was with Bill too. Oh, you were with Bill? Oh, you know what? We should get together and start a thing and talk about how he took advantage of us with his drugs and his money and his penis and his all that. I mean, that's how it kind of looks to me. It doesn't look. I might have been a little more convinced if these accusations were made 20 years ago. These accusations were made by not so many women, all right? Because I find it hard to believe that he just took advantage of all of these chicks. All of these chicks were victims. All of these chicks just had no idea what the hell was going on. They had never heard about chick number 20, had never heard about chick number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 being with Bill Cosby. She had never heard of it, right? So that's where it gets wrong. That's where it gets kind of dicey for me, because you got all these chicks. It's sort of like I'll say this and I'll shut the hell up. It's sort of like when a brother has 20, 30 baby mamas, right? 20, 30 baby mamas.
Mm-hmm.
You trying to tell me that baby mama number 20 didn't know about baby mama number 5?
No, I've heard worse than that. It was a chick on my show. This was, man, time flies, because this was over a year ago at this point. She was talking about men, even men with families. They ain't worth a damn, because they be having 2 and 3 families. And she named a guy that she knew who had 2 or 3. She said he had 3 families, 3 wives, or I don't even know if they was exactly wives, but either way it go. what I explained to her is that I tend to believe the woman in family two, family number two knew about family number one, and the woman that was the woman in family number three had to have known about family number two and family number one. So it was a situation where she was putting it all on him, how horrible he is, making all these different families, and I was like, hold on, why are you making it seem like this is something that he did to these women and not something that they signed up and participated in? The only one you could possibly give an excuse to, you can give an excuse to the woman in family number one. You can give her an excuse if she was completely unbeknownst to her, he was planning on going to make other families. But at that point, number three, she was just a chick competing for the top spot. At that point, you can't make a victim out of her. So when you say that the chick, the guy who has multiple baby mamas, okay, baby mama number one could probably have an excuse. Baby mama number two could maybe have an excuse. But when you become baby mama number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, at that point, you a bigger part of the problem than this guy who's out here reckless, slinging community semen everywhere.
And you are an active participant in whatever bumfoolery you're claiming is going on. At that point, you are an active participant. You're not a victim of it. You are a participant in it. That's just what it is. You're actively participating in whatever bumfoolery you're complaining about at that point. All right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I think, Bernard, this is actually what pisses me off a lot of time about these feminists, womanists, whatever you want to call them, is this like a lot of times when they talk about these topics, it's very interesting how they're very good about treating women like they have no agency, right? When it comes to these topics. But then in every other scenario, they're strong, they're independent, there are all these other things, right? But when it comes to anything that requires, the woman to have some level of responsibility, then it's like, she has no agency. It must have been his fault. It must have been, he's such a monster. He's powerful. He's this. And again, all these things can be true, right? Like I'm still not gonna, jump off the ledge and say, Bill Cosby didn't do this stuff or whatnot. I did, quite frankly, I just don't know. I'm just saying it's quite interesting to me how people always talk about this topics like, these women have no agency, like just none. It's just a man that's doing something to them. But in every other case, they're capable of making decisions just fine. They don't need, anyway. That to me, that it annoys the hell out of me.
He's imposing it on them. That's what I was saying. He's imposing it on them. And what we gotta look at is this too. Coming from the female side of it, I think this is some type of shabby failed attempt to kind of clear their consciences. They're looking in the mirror, they're 40 and 50 and some probably 60, and they're looking at themselves in the mirror, and they take their clothes off, and the crow's feet have came in, the butt sags, and the breasts look like they're holding up 2 slices of pizza, and they saying to themselves, damn, I wasn't a whore when I was younger. I wasn't a coke slut. I wasn't a Quaalude cruncher. They're reflecting now, because when you get old, as an older person, I do that. All right. When you get to be an older person, you start to reflect on some of the stuff you did when you were younger, and even though you were a whore, you want to tell yourself that you weren't. Even though you were a freaking coke slut, you want to tell yourself that you weren't. Even though you took a Quaalude every morning, before you went and got smashed, but you want to tell yourself that you didn't. So I think it's kind of that. I mean, maybe not with all of the women, but I'm pretty sure with some of these women, they're looking in the mirror now that they're like 50 something years old, and they're saying to themselves, damn, was I really a whore when I was younger? Was I really letting dudes run trains on me, if they had a pocket full of Quaaludes or some cocaine or some old English 800. Was I really that person? That's what I think it is, man. I think it's a freaking a shabby freaking try to kind of clear a conscience of some of the nonsense they did back in their heydays. I'm telling you, that's what it is. And it just so happens that they were doing that nonsense with brothers like Bill Cosby. That's all.
Shout out to Eugene Thompson in the building. He says a stand-up of Cosby surfaced of him telling a story of him and his I Spy co-host talking about trying to sway the narrative. Do y'all know what he's talking about right there?
No idea.
No.
Worded it kind of vaguely where I don't really I can't really make out what it is that you're trying to
Man,
say.
see, some of these brothers, man, would have felt my English classes, man.
Yeah, cut it out.
No shade, no shade.
Cut it out. All right,
Yeah.
y'all. We are almost 2.5 hours in, 322 people in the building. I know we got, at least I was gonna say, yeah, we definitely got 230 on the likes. Definitely got, yeah, okay, good. The likes are looking good. Let's get them up to 250. While we at it. Let's go ahead and do that. Nick Penn,
Hit that goddamn like button, Negroes.
And Nick Penn, you are a tad bit late with the hashtag free Cosby. You I don't know if you've missed an entire last 24 hours of news, but Bill Cosby has been set free.
Yeah, he's at the crib.
Yeah,
Cosby's at the crib. He's at the crib.
Shout out to Nick Penn. Oh man, shout out! I got a couple new Patreons I got to put on the Patreon list too, so I got to remember to do that momentarily. Got a few things I'm working on. But we got Chaos.
Right. How you doing, Bernard?
Doing great. Go ahead. You got the floor. You got the mic.
Well, now that the old man is out of jail now, I wonder what more people are going to say about him now. It's going to be a while before he could, whatever he was doing before this happened, that he has to either repair or he's going to sit back and chill for the rest of his few years and days as a man. Because he did a lot for the Black community. And it's funny how women are criticizing him, but he spent more money on them, on universities, etc. Find that odd. Find it very odd.
Well, if in their mind, if they actually believe that he did what he did, it wouldn't. I could see why they would take the position that they take. But then there's well, did he really do it? I said it all can't be a lie. It all can't be true. Then there's the time period of the legal factors of it and all of that nonsense. But yeah, there's going to be backlash. The Me Too posse is going to be still trying to figure out a way to come for him. Dr. Keasan Johnson talked about some story that leaked. I don't know if it was some new chick that came forward, but it was like 4 hours, maybe like 1 hour after he was released. It was some story that got pushed out there into some media platform of some chick saying something. So it's all kinds of wild stuff going on that we're going to be seeing happening in the aftermath of this. But Eugene Thompson back in the building. This is what I thought you were talking about. He says, sorry, the stand-up was about giving girls Spanish fly. I did hear about that. I didn't know that it leaked. I just heard somebody saying that he's made jokes before about giving girls drugs. I didn't know that was I didn't know that it leaked, but I kind of thought that's what you were talking about, but I wasn't 100% sure. But shout out to you. Appreciate your clarification on that point there. Shout out to NJ Prophet. He says this one is for the Quaalude Cruncher comment. POT is hilarious. Shout out to
Thank you very much, sir. I'm here all week. I'm here all week.
Right. Right on. Chaos, I think you got some background.
No, well, I want to say also. Let me play this out. Also, I want to say this. If there's any news stories, I say, well, he already did his time. What are you going to try throw him back in for some more allegation? And
No,
it doesn't
they
make sense.
can't. He can't be tried for any of that ever again. That was put in the initial report. They cannot try him for nothing again. So the only thing that they can do now is just continue to try to do reputation smearing and all of that. That's the only thing they could try to do.
They could smear, but at this point, it's irrelevant because the man's out. Now, if they were doing this while he was still in jail, maybe, but to smear a man how old was he? People in 1937, as 84 years old. I mean, and here's the funny thing about it. They tried, before they were going to let him go, they said, we want to put you as a sex offender. He said no. And it's a good thing he said no. Because he didn't really like to say, I just took the coochie. You get me? Like literally took it. So, I know most women, their feelings and etc. And I'll tell most women this, if you've been, abused sexually like that, you go get fucking help like everybody else. You sit there let dorm in you for years, decades, it's gonna bother your spirit, your health, etc. You gotta get that shit fixed or get that check out.
Well, 5 years from now, female prison guards would be on TV talking about how he was doing stuff to them while he was
Wow.
5 years from now. God damn it.
Wow. If he lived to be 93, yeah, he's gonna be back on trial for what he did
molesting prison guards.
Now that's funny.
So Bernard, I have a quick question, right?
Go ahead.
What are your thoughts on how this whole idea of consent these days, in terms of how we talk about this topic, right? Because I think I don't want to completely derail this stream, but I think about this all the time. I mean, me being a quote unquote young man, just this idea of consent and how lax it's gotten at this point. It's quite scary being out here, right? Because it almost puts you in a position where there's always room for a woman to make a claim like that. Again, this is not discounting. I want to make it clear for people listening. I'm not saying that there are not assholes out there and straight up, dudes who belong under the jail, you know what I'm saying, for violations. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying though is that you put men in a position where this idea that you could revoke, like I've heard women literally say you can revoke consent in the middle of the act, like literally while while I'm stroking, you can be like, okay, consent out. Like I don't know. To me, it's just it's a can of worms. So I'm just curious what your overall thoughts on this.
Well, actually, I know you said you were in and out of the stream, but I talked about the whole consent factor, and it's a weird thing because somebody had mentioned a consent app, and I was looking at that. Listen, you can't show me a guy who at some point during the process of about to have sex did he stop and say and go completely out his way and make sure that he secured verbal consent from the woman. Now, I did touch on how ARC talks about in his book. There's a roundabout. There's a way to get that done, but that has a lot to do with. I could be paraphrasing them and getting them wrong, but yes, if you're talking dirty, doing some sexual dirty talk, well, is that really truly getting consent? Well, in some ways, it is. Like he says, he gets women to literally say to him what it is that they're going to do before they go and engage in the sex, but he probably does it in a seductive, get their pussy wet kind of way. But however, if you listen to the way the feminists talk when they talk about this, they talk about it from the perspective of no, you practically need to stop and literally ask for permission to have sex, and that breaks all the momentum of the sex that's going on when y'all just feeling the vibe and y'all just going with it. And like nobody does that. Women don't want a guy to do that, and no man who's successful at getting sex from women ever exactly does that. So it turns into a real goofy situation where yes, they can withdraw the consent at any moment, and that's technically fine. That's technically fine. If me and the woman are in the middle of having sex and she says, "Wait, stop," yeah, I gotta stop. If she says, "Get out, take your dick out of me," I got to take my dick out of her. Those are just the simple rules. Now, if she go and try to say that she never consented to it being in, then yeah, that's some goofy, silly stuff. And if they turn around and ask me, "Well, did you get verbal consent from her?" Well, no, but when I was sucking on her titties and pulling her panties off, she didn't stop me. So it just turns into a very stupid thing when we start talking about that whole verbal consent thing. So it's stupid.
So the thing is, Bernard, I agree with you that, like, if she says stop, yeah, I'm stopping. Like, I mean, there's not gonna be any fun anyway to do it. Like, so I'm gonna stop.
Well, that depends on what you're into. But carry on.
All right. So the thing is, it's when it's the idea that she can then, like, if let's say she says, "Well, you stopped too late," or because the moment she says stop, that's when that's when the consent was withdrawn.
Yeah, I know, but there's something like that. There's forward momentum. Like you say stop, but I mean those at least 2.5 pumps is gonna just follow through the motion. It's like it's like hitting the brakes on a car. You still gonna speed and crash, but yeah.
You gotta have a clock in there. You gotta have a clock in there, one of them countdown clocks like I use for the debates. When it hits 0, it's over.
See,
or have a referee in there, unless you're gonna have a referee sitting in there saying, "Oh, that was a flagrant foul." Come on.
I think Darth the Slothiest is saying you are allowed 5 pumps after the stop. 5 pumps. You need 5 pumps to slow down and then pull out.
I'd like to know what type of commissary Darth Sloth is. Like,
what'd you say?
I'd like to know what type of commissary. What items he likes in the commissary. Because that's exactly where
I mean, but I don't know if 5 pumps is pushing it, but you can't just stop on a dime. After she says stop while you in mid stroke, she gonna catch at least 2 more pumps after the stop, just momentum. But anyway,
right. And again, like, all jokes aside, though, the moment you have those last 2 pumps, as we call them, right? The moment you have those, at that point, she can literally state that you violated her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it gets. And it may seem like like you guys really arguing over this. Yes, because you can see how quickly this stuff can destroy a man's life, right? And this is, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just semantics, and it's not us just joking around. Like, this is and that's where, for me, it kind of worries me. But I also think, to your earlier point, Bernard, I also think this is more proof that feminists aren't getting laid. Because if they were getting laid, they would know that it's ridiculous to think that I'm gonna stop and say, yeah, so can I stick it in now? Like, I just can't recall really ever having that conversation.
She could want to have sex with you, and if you stop the flow and ask that goofy ass question just like that, she's gonna say no. It's like, so that's where it's just silly. But anyway, but no, the consent thing is it's weird when they try to say that the way feminists try to say it. Make sure you stop and get absolute verbal consent before things go forward. Sex does not organically happen that way. But shout out to ARC, because he says that's what he does, and he explains his ways of going about doing it. But like I said, he do it in a slick, smooth, seductive, get their pussy wet kind of way, and make them say some freaky shit back to him. But I mean, if I understand it correctly. But Pablo in the building. Go ahead, Pablo. You got the flow. You got the mic. You probably didn't come up to talk about whether or not, if a woman tells you to stop, whether or not the 2 inertia pumps, she gonna get caught by at least 2. She consented to the first 100 pumps, but those last 2 she didn't consent to, and you might be in trouble for that. But anyway, carry on.
I'm about to share an unpopular opinion, being that we have Uncle Ruckus on the panel. I'm about to bring an Uncle Ruckus type of comment. And here it goes. I'm not with you niggas.
Okay.
I'm not with you. That nigga over there did it, not me. See, why do we always have to Negro splain for what other Negroes do? Meaning that we keep asking white people to judge us as individuals, but then we turn around and treat each other as one big giant Negro. Oh, Bill Cosby, he was wrongly. Bill Cosby was slipping chicks quaaludes, engaging in high risk behaviors. That's that Negro's problem over there. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't engage in them type of behaviors. So I don't need an explanation as to why he got in some fuckery. I understand why he got in some fuckery. Okay, because he engages in high risk behaviors. I was on
But Pablo, well, what do
Rod.
you think about if the only evidence is
No,
that?
no, 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 no,
Let me
no,
let
no,
me
no,
ask you the
no.
question. If the only evidence is that a chick said he did it 25 years ago, how is that good evidence to lock him up
Well,
today?
he got well. Now listen, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Let me tell you a story. So I was driving Uber on a holiday weekend. My tail light was out. Excuse me, I either had a headlight or a tail light was out. I don't remember. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go out here and get this money. I'll deal with this shit later. I got pulled over 3 times with the headlight out in one night in 3 different jurisdictions. I went back, I put the headlight in. Guess what? I stopped being racially profiled.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I was on Roger Report's channel yesterday, and they were talking about a guy that shot a police officer in the head. They were trying to come up with a particular defense as to why this brother was justified in shooting this cop. And I saw the video, and I'm sorry, there's no way he's gonna be able to finagle his way out of, a deadly assault on a police officer. He's just not gonna be able to do it. But see,
I'm with you on that one too.
and all of these shootings and stuff like this, okay, you got the cop shooting or whatever, or somebody gets choked out, and then you come to find out the dude has been arrested 100 times. Now he didn't deserve to die, but again, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I don't want to talk about R. Kelly. I don't want to talk about Bill Cosby as it relates to, oh, it could happen to me. No, it ain't. It's not gonna happen to me because I don't play them kind of games. Is it unfair? Yeah, I know it's unfair. That's why I don't do. That's why I don't do crazy Negro shit. Keeps me out of trouble.
Yeah, I understand what you're
Well,
saying,
real
and
quick,
like some of it is extreme. And I'll give you a perfect example, Pablo. Just so before I kind of give kind of the other part of it, there is a situation when I was in high school where we went to the colleges because we were looking at whatever college, what seniors do and shit like that. And basically they decided to play beer pong, and then the guys there decided to switch the women's drinks and put Everclear in their drinks. And then I said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And then they said, "Well, blah blah blah." And these were actually, it was a combination of black and white. I said, "Oh yeah." And then I told my friend, I said, "Yeah, man, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out." And then he was trying to look at me like I was stupid, and he thought I was playing. And then I'm basically halfway back home, like 90 minutes later, and he calling me, and I told him, I said, "I'm out." I said, "I refuse to be around some black and white motherfuckers with some white bitches, and they can just no. I'm not even giving the opportunity for that shit to happen." So I've always, so Pablo, me and you are like the same, as I've always been aware, and that's like way before any of this shit was like red, like me too. This is in the 2000s, like 2007 or shit. So even before a lot of these damn frat groups started getting caught up. So I've always been hyper aware of that because so I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be that extreme like what Bill Cosby did. First of all, the fact that they can relitigate anything you did 25 years later, is crazy. They can relitigate the fact you grabbed somebody's ass and she may have smacked you. So she got her get back for you doing that. And then she'll turn that into sexual assault, which you can contextualize into the R word. Like it's crazy what these people are doing. So yeah, it starts with R. Kelly, which is an easy one, Bill Cosby, which is another one. But then you notice they start really changing the rules and going down from there until before you know it. Now they want to make it about, I mean, Obsidian's on here. He's talked about catcalling a lot. Now the same bitches talk about catcalling, same bitches talking about, well, why don't men cold approach? You know, so because they get
Well,
the mindset
yeah.
like you, like, I'm not going to give you the opportunity. I'm just going to readjust. So on that front, you're technically, you are right as far as Bill Cosby on a personal responsibility for what he deals with in his life. But a lot of guys are making a greater argument as how they're trying to redefine the game rules to where women can at any point say they were victims. And when women do that, they will have sex with a dude and they may feel some type of way about it, and then they'll lie. That really what they're arguing is for the white women's privilege to lie about some shit. That's what a lot of these women want. The ability to lie and the ability to say some shit happened, recontextualize it because they feel bad. But go ahead.
Well, I guess my point is, okay, why do we have to take up a cause for what stupid niggas do? Like if it's a Brian Banks situation, I'm all for it. No, that's a pure railroad. The brother did nothing wrong. I'm good with it. I'm good with riding for somebody like that. R. Kelly and Bill Cosby, come on, man. I'm not taking 15-year-olds on tour. That's
Oh
a,
no, let me make it very clear. Yeah, I said I got no cape for R. Kelly at all, but I did acknowledge the grown women who
Yeah,
were
you keep
involved
on
in it.
right.
I
merging them
don't
too. And
Right.
hold on real quick. The grown women who were involved in it, I don't view them as victims. I view them as volunteers. But I pointed out with Aaliyah, the chick that was in the video, and it was definitely one other chick that actually met him at his trial. It was good evidence that he had sex with those three girls when they were girls. And for that, he's done. Lock him up. That's what I
Yeah. And
made
so
very clear. But
so
for
my
the
point
women,
is
yeah,
so my
hold
point is
on,
why
real quick,
hold on. Let's
Pablo,
be clear here.
real quick.
R. Kelly.
There are hold on, real quick. Yeah,
We
there
shouldn't
are
be merging
grown ass
both of
women
them.
who
Those are two different.
volunteered who are trying to be victims. And that's what I got a problem with. And I do have a problem with 25 years later, a potential victim probably volunteer saying that she was victimized, but she may have volunteered, but the evidence is 25 years old. So we're going to lock a man up for something that somebody said he did, that where there's no way to
Yeah, and
substantiate it.
those.
okay,
That's when it,
but that's
hold
but
on.
see
That's when
that's
it,
R. Kelly.
that's
But see
when it,
that's
That's
they
a To
problem.
Kill a
That's a that
Mockingbird.
Negro problem.
That's To
That's
Kill
a
a
that ninja
Mockingbird. We
problem.
read
That ain't my
books.
problem.
Nah, see that's where I part ways with you on that, Pablo. I
R.
agree.
Kelly. Okay, R. Kelly are not
Hold on,
one person.
Are you gonna be an individual or are you not? You can't jump on every Negro that gets
hold
himself in
on,
some fuckery and then be an individual. No.
Ed, hold on. Let
Can
me say
y'all
this to
hear me?
Pablo. This I can hear
Okay,
you,
I'm just
Ed.
making sure.
Yeah, no, I can hear you, Ed. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that his problem is my problem. What I'm saying is
All right,
if
my
we
bad.
live in a society where you can get locked up over some shit that a woman said you may have done 25 years ago with no evidence, I believe that is some bullshit. Do you not?
Well, okay, tell me who that exactly happened to.
Pablo, can you just answer the
That didn't contribute, wait a minute, that didn't contribute to the position that they found themselves in.
Okay, but can
Name
you,
me one.
Pablo,
Can you name me one?
can you answer the question the way Bernard asked it though? Because I'm actually curious of your actual response to what he said.
Can you name me one who that happened to, who they reached back 25 years? They didn't slip them drugs. They didn't invite their homies over to hoax to run a train. Name me one that
You're saying a lot. Oh, hold up. So you're saying a lot here. You say they didn't slip on drugs. Nobody slipped anybody drugs. That's the thing. Like the language you use here is important, right? Because again, we talked about what Cosby actually admitted to, right? He didn't slip him drugs. Like and you don't know if they consented or not. And whether or not you would do drugs yourself, that's another topic. The question is, was it two consenting adults who are doing it? And if they're willing to railroad, if that's indeed not what happened, we don't know what happened or not. But if that's not what happened, and they're willing to destroy a man's life over words of a woman from years of regarding something that she claims happened decades ago, then what keeps somebody from just making the whole story up, for example, against somebody who didn't do anything?
Why? Well, what does that got to do with me? And why should I be jumping to the defense of Bill Cosby?
What if somebody makes up a story against you?
No, I don't engage in Bill Cosby behaviors, sir.
Okay, but I'm saying, what if you
It's
don't?
not gonna happen to me.
Okay,
No,
but
no. See, I don't buy the it could happen to you too Negro theory. No, I don't.
So in your world, people just never get set up.
If you want to be judged as an individual, when are you gonna start judging your own men as individuals?
Yes, we're judging our own men as individuals, absolutely.
And that's Bill Cosby's problem to handle. Good for him. But I'm not extrapolating that out into my life and what could happen to me.
So you live in a world.
No, I live in a world. Wait a minute. I live in a world where Pablo doesn't engage in high risk behaviors that gets him in fuckery.
Okay, but if you get set up, that literally means you did not engage in.
If you want to join all Negroes and the Negro don't want to take a Quaalude fight,
so you live in a world where people
have at it. But I'm not joining. No, I'm not joining.
So you live in a world where people don't get.
No,
set
you're
up.
with them. You're with them Negroes. I'm not with them.
Let me say this, Pablo. I get the spirit of what you're saying, and that's a huge flashpoint on my show. When it's nigga shit happening over there, we stand firm and say we ain't with them niggas. We don't do that here. You know, so I get it. I understand where you're coming from. However, what happened to Bill Cosby, I personally don't think it will happen to me. I think I move in a certain way to where it won't happen to me, but I still can step outside of it, be objective, and break down what happened in the case and say, nah, I disagree with that. I don't think, because you're teetering on the edge of you're okay with a believe all women culture, even if you're saying believe her from 25 years ago. We can't go that route either.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. Listen, I'm gonna clarify here for you. I agree that the legal process towards Bill Cosby was unjust, and that's why it was overturned. Okay? Yes, absolutely. Hooray for Bill Cosby. I'm not extrapolating that out into, oh, well, see, that could happen to you. No. All black men should be join on Bill Cosby train because it could have happened. No,
nobody made that argument.
Hold on.
Nobody made that argument.
That's not what I was saying. That's not what I was saying, Pablo.
But hold on. And if you
that is how it's being presented in this space and management
talking point. Wait, Pablo, you're making a good point. Remember when that dude earlier in the show super chatted $20 saying, so what, men just need to be aggressive, fuck these bitches, they want to be abused anyway. If you're responding to that dude, then yeah, he was on some bullshit. I tried to clean up what he said, but I was like, nah, I can't even clean this up. You talking about he's the person who's basically low-key saying, I mean, he backed away from it once he got pushed back from me and the audience, but that's somebody who was basically saying, so what, do what you want to do. He was low-key saying even the full-blown not giving drugs, but the drugging is okay. He sounded like somebody who was basically saying get the pussy at all costs.
Niggas like that are gonna get destroyed by this system because they look for black men like that. They're hunting for y'all niggas. So y'all think it's cool. So by the way, and you may not wind up like Bill Cosby, you might wind up like the niggas Cardi B did in that she admitted it and nobody gave a fuck. So a lot of these people, you're dealing with a different type of female today. And the point is the environment is technically on their side. And my point is not on some dudes can do stupid shit and then get a pass. Understand, Bill Cosby got a pass because the same deal that Charlemagne was offered was the same deal technically Bill Cosby got, and then somebody else came in and said, fuck that. You can't do that. Let's do that. And so we agree on that. But when it comes to like take Bill Cosby out of it, look at how many black quarterbacks have gotten done up, which you agree was a railroading. that happens a lot more than Bill Cosby. 25 years later, they get you while you don't get to live your life, then they mess you up. No, they mess you up in real time. And that is what can happen to a lot of these guys. And as we're saying, like, just like how you getting killed by the police is not a likelihood, but it can still happen. And so I think we get dismissal. Look, I'm on your side too when it comes to being smart, but Skip Gates wasn't like one of these niggas doing one of these bullshit. Yeah, he still got locked out of his house and then shit happened. So black men are much more targeted than other groups in that way.
All right.
Because we're the ones that is always the blood sacrifice.
All right, let me
Well, we're gonna agree to disagree. I'm standing on my square. I'm good.
And Pablo, you always do. Y'all know y'all.
I mean, I'm not
Pablo,
trying to convince
yeah,
you.
no,
We
good. We got it. We got it.
Bill
All
Cosby.
yeah, the sides,
But Bill
Cosby have been
two different people, and I don't like. Yeah, I don't
all
like when
right.
people try to merge like what Bill Cosby did with what R. Kelly did. That's not the
I
same
know.
shit.
Right. No, and agreed. Lead attorney, if you want to come up, you said you're on your lunch break. I don't know how long your lunch break is, but if you definitely want to come up, I'll pass the mic right to you immediately. If you want to drop some legal knowledge, some legal game on this conversation, you're more than welcome to always roll right up. I'll hand you the mic immediately as soon as you get up, because I know you're working on limited time. But for right now, we're going to pass the mic to Obsidian. Well, shout out to Houdini Unchanged. This doesn't deserve celebration. No victory for black men. Shout out to you. Appreciate the super chat. I think that is it. At least all the ones that I can see. All right, go ahead, Obsidian. You have the floor. You have the mic.
Yeah, what's going on, fellas?
How's it
Been a little bit MIA of late, but I won't go into all of that. So I think that perhaps the best way to look at this is how this changes the calculus moving forward. Some have suggested that this is yet another link in the chain of Me Too backlash, right? So, and I've been giving a lot of thought to this prior to these developments with Mr. Cosby. So here's my take on this. I believe that the concerns that have arisen as a result of Me Too can be solved. After all, men, not women, but men, we all know women don't solve problems. We got that. Women highlight problems, they complain about problems, but they don't solve them. They're horrible at that. Men, on the other hand, solve problems. We're cost benefit calculators, right? And we can solve these problems. And I'm going to outline a few of them right now that are solutions. For example, with regard to sexual harassment on the job, that can be solved. In addition to the things that have already been implemented, you got guys like Tom Likas who say, you know what, F this S, I'm out. I don't want to be around women. I don't want to have to work with women. And I have the wherewithal, the talent, the ability, the resources, the negotiation power to negotiate my own contract where it's stipulated in the contract that I never need to have to set foot on the main campus office, do my job remotely with my own hand-picked team of guys. We do what we do. We get paid. That's it. Now, that will have an adverse knock-on effect on the industry. Think about it. If you take the top 20% of guys who have Tom Likas type talent, who's going to be left? Sheryl Sandberg of Facebook and Lean In fame has already complained about this on Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and other areas of the American economy. Women have already been complaining that men have been doing just that. They refuse to meet with women, implement the Mike Pence rule, refuse to meet with women by themselves, if at all, refuse to mentor women, refuse to travel with women. When they have to go to conventions and stuff like that, they stay on separate floors or go to separate hotels altogether. This is the price that women will have to pay to get rid of sexual harassment. Are women okay with paying that price? Are women okay with making that sacrifice? Number two. Oh, and that will continue, by the way. That sort of thing will continue in the workplace. Talented guys don't want to roll the dice on the possibility that this woman may be not different than all the others. I'm sorry, ladies. When it comes to issues like this, all of you are like that. So you have to pay the price. That means you don't get mentored. That means you don't get FaceTime with important men. That means that the guys who have the most talent and ability, they don't want to be bothered at all. They go ahead and start their startup. And by the way, they'll work around the federal laws. See, if you keep your organization under a certain number of employees, you're exempt from those type of federal oversight laws. That's what Tom Likas did. He has a small team of guys that he works with. So guys will work around this stuff. They don't have to be around, have to deal with, Joe Button type stuff. You have to work with. They can eliminate that right off rip. Now, not to plug my own book, but I do write about this. Shameless plug for the book of Obsidian. I even have a name for it. The Aziz Ansari rule. Shout out to the feminists on this, by the way. It was inspired by them. They have an idea called affirmative consent. Look it up. That's what they call it in the law. Affirmative consent. I call it sex is on the menu. Make an itinerary. Ladies, would you like to go to the Oslo Jazz Festival and get a nice side order of dick? Would you like to go to Fogo de Chao tonight, dine with me, and also get a nice side order of dick? Would you like to go to the Universal Circus and also get a nice side order of dick? Because you got to understand, that's why men go out on dates. Dating equals porking. And now it's going to be in a matter of written contract, enforceable in a court of law, affirmative consent. You have to consent to getting a nice date and a side order of dick. It says that in the contract. No contract, no date. Affirmative consent. Prominent feminist, writers and philosophers and legal scholars like Martha Nussbaum points this out. You can have to take my word for it. It's over on The Economist. You can see for yourself. Now, how many ladies are going to be down to sign on the dotted line first? Yes, I'm going to go to the Universal Circus and get a nice side order of dick. Yes, I consent to that. I sign here. How many ladies are willing to do that? Let's take up.
I don't know if going to the Universal Circus and smelling animals and animal shit exactly get a woman in the mood to go get some side order of dick afterwards. I don't know. I don't know about I don't know about the circus for a date. If they in the smelling elephant shit and then going to have sex.
And having been there quite a few times, yeah, it is a real thing. But nevertheless, hey. Think of your outing of your choice. You have to sign on the dotted line first. That sex is part of the proceedings that evening, and you give affirmative consent by your signifying on the dotted line, which is admissible in a court of law. How many ladies are going to be willing to sign? We can solve the problem. We can eliminate any future Aziz Ansari incident. All you got to do is sign on the dotted line, ladies.
No. In all honesty, like I said before, I never exactly considered you a dating coach. I said dating scientist. You give analysis of the dating game. But there was one good piece. I shouldn't say one good piece, but that's the part that jumped out to me, that the whole date itinerary, sex on the menu, and a whole laid out itinerary was a normal itinerary, and a lot of women will be flattered by seeing an itinerary for a date. Oh, that's nice, he's a gentleman. And then they see down there at the bottom that, oh yeah, and you will be getting your cheeks clapped at the end of the date too, and gotta sign it. But that's one, they might be flattered by that you actually printed out an itinerary and put some sex on it. And also, that is a way of getting that type of consent that me and JB was talking about. The whole notion of consent and how nobody actually gets full-blown verbal consent. ARC talks about getting that verbal consent, but for the most part, most guys don't exactly get verbal consent. The sex kind of just gradually happens, but that is a way to de facto get the consent in writing.
Yeah, and
in a witty way that she don't even realize that, yes, I am making you sign this so you can't say that I did something I wasn't supposed to do.
No
And that is a clever, witty way to get to consent in writing.
No disrespect to ARC, but there has been no legal tests to what he's talking about. What I'm talking about can be legally tested. Again, Martha Nussbaum, you can look her up. She's over on The Economist, did a really good podcast about this, where she talks about affirmative consent. What I'm talking about is right in line with what she's talking about. Affirmative consent.
They can still revoke it though.
Pardon?
They can still revoke it. Doesn't matter what they signed. The issue here is that they can revoke it at any time.
How under what rule? When can you just go ahead and break a contract?
Because the argument is that it's their bodies. And
No. You can't just break a contract. That's contract law.
Well, no, she agreed to the sex. Once the sex starts at any moment, she can say unless she signed.
That goes into the area of contract law. Now we go to the courts and adjudicate. Let's see what the courts have to say about that. There's a case going on right now. I'll be talking about this. I don't know if I'm gonna do it later on today, more than likely tomorrow. Y'all heard about this. Kevin and MTR had her on their shows. You've seen the rounds. Lovely young lady out of the Bronx, New York, talking about how her ex-man is still responsible for caring for her. Newsflash, he's not. She doesn't understand palimony, which is bunk. Okay? When the sex stops, that's when the casket drops, unless you're married. So she doesn't have a legal leg to stand on. See, the problem here, especially with black folks, is that we love selling wolf tickets. But this is about the law. This is about what you can actually prove in a court of law. And see, affirmative consent is going to be the rule of the law of the land. So what I talked about in my book with Aziz Ansari, making an itinerary a de facto contract enforceable in a court of law. Oh yeah, that's going to be a real thing very soon. But how many ladies would be willing to sign on the dotted line? Because we can solve the problem. These problems can be solved. But how many want to sign? And we can duke it out in court.
Obsidian, take a look at what the lead attorney just said. That's basically what I was saying.
Yeah, and we can duke it out in court. Let's see if she's got the moxie to fight it out in court. Let's test it.
Brother Obsidian has a point here. As a person who owns a business, I listen to all this stuff, and you listen to the story of Mr. Cosby and whatnot, and he talks about the Zuckerberg lady who's been complaining about, guys don't want to meet with them.
Sheryl Sandberg.
Zoom call. Sheryl Sandberg. My bad.
Zuckerberg, that's the guy who created
Chief
Facebook.
Operating Officer of Facebook, and also the founder and director of the Lean In Foundation.
Yeah. So you have these things going on now, right? Where guys are protecting their asses for the most part. And it makes me happy that I don't work in an industry where I have to deal, with women saying that I looked at them wrong, or I rubbed up against them, or I did some nonsense, that now I have to prove that I didn't do. And that's what it comes down to with these kind of things, because, they can say anything. And now the onus is on you to prove you didn't do it. You have to prove you didn't do it. They don't have to prove anything. All they have to do is say it. All they have to do is say, oh, he touched me, he did this, he gave me a quaalude, he touched my breast, he touched my ass, he did whatever. Now the onus is on you to prove that didn't happen. And it puts you in a precarious position.
Do you honestly believe? I mean, we're looking at a situation now that has changed everything. This Cosby piece has changed the whole landscape now. Does anybody honestly believe that this thing with this state of affairs is just going to continue indefinitely? Like I said before, men are cost benefit calculators by nature. What this shows is just how little women understand men. We will fix the problem. The question is, will the ladies like what we come up with? See, that's the real question, which leads me to my third fix. And that's this, ladies. The very guys that you want are the very guys that's causing you all your problems. Remember, Me Too wasn't about the average schlub, the average Joe. They were dealing with the apex predators, the top of the food chain. No, those guys don't act like Boy Scouts. No, they don't. Kevin's been telling you this for the past year. They exercise options and often do so ruthlessly. That's the trade-off. There are no solutions here, ladies. There are trade-offs. You want a top 10 man? You got to accept that he's going to have other women. That's just how that works. That's just how it works. And yes, they do have a sense of entitlement because they bust their ass to get to the top of the food chain. That's why you like them. That's why you want them. That's why you want to be around them. That's the price you pay. Are you willing to do that? Because we can end this right here. Stop being attracted to the top guys. Get an average guy. How many times has Kevin said this over the past year? And how has that went over? Goes over like a lead balloon every single time. David Buss talks about it in his latest book, When Men Behave Badly. He says the exact same thing that Kevin says. I predict he'll get the same response that Kevin got. It'll be a non-starter amongst the ladies. You're fighting. Fundamentally, ladies, what you're fighting against is your own nature. You are preternaturally attracted to the top 20% of guys who then turn around and cause you all your problems in life. Derek Jackson, anyone?
All right, lead attorney in the building, and like I said, the floor is open for you to come up and add some legal expertise to this conversation, lead attorney. I know you be on your lunch break and whatnot, so you can come up. I'll pass the mic right to you if you just want to come up briefly. But lead attorney says he's right. She can revoke at any time. She can sign 100 contracts and revoke them all instantly once you start taking off her shoes. Yes, we talked about earlier in the show that she can withdraw the consent in the middle of sex, and we did say that there's probably 2 or 3 inertia pumps that you can still get after she says stop, but you do got to stop once she.
I do have a question for the lead attorney, though.
Okay.
And my question for the lead attorney would be this: has that been tested in a court of law?
I would love for him to answer that, but if I had to spitball an answer, I would say that there has not been a case where some guy got a woman to sign verbal consent, Dave Chappelle style. That's kind of which I don't even know if you even thought about that, but Dave Chappelle did a skit that was kind of similar to what you're talking about with the verbal consent. I mean, the written consent. I don't know if that's ever been done or so.
Because remember, and I don't know if the lead attorney, and I don't know if the lead attorney is aware of this or not. I'm not going to assume that he is, but affirmative consent is a real thing. Like I said, Martha Nussbaum talks about this over on The Economist. She's a legal scholar, philosopher of a feminist bent. Affirmative consent is a real thing. So yeah, this
legal thing.
Yes. This can be something that can be
theory
in court. No, a real thing.
Hold on. We getting the answer from lead attorney. Let me work my way down there. Shout out to Black Wizard in the building. He said that would likely be thrown out. I'm not sure that would be considered a legal contract. We about to Zero probably in here on some fuckery. Me Too died when Cosby got released. RIP double standards. Haha.
Yeah,
if you believe that, please click the email link to get some unclaimed money. Shout out to Zero and lead attorney. Hold on. Let me get with lead attorney. Lead attorney actually did, I believe, respond to Obsidian. I just cannot find it.
Yeah,
if y'all see it,
I saw it.
Okay. Well, tell me what he said because I can't. Find it. Okay, here we go.
He says yes to the extent that the contract is invalid, but that's not my question. My question was: have there been any prominent legal cases where this has been tested? Affirmative consent has actually been tested.
Obsidian, the thing is, I think we're talking about two different things here. The affirmative consent is to get the consent, right? So I'm not arguing with you that you can't have a contract that's a valid contract that you actually got consent. What I'm saying is that you can actually still revoke the consent regardless of how you actually got it. You can still revoke it at any time, and that's precisely just because that's something that contract law cannot supersede that, because that's her body. It's kind of like a jurisdiction kind of situation.
But here's the trick, though. That would have to be tested in the court of law. In other words, what court cases, what precedents can be cited?
There is no precedence, but it also sounds like what you would ultimately have to do, Obsidian, not just put sex on the menu that you must sign on the dotted line. It seems like you're going to have to put sex to completion. Completion defined by what is satisfied by
we can do that.
me. It sounds like you're going to have to do something like that.
What needs to happen, and it will happen, and it will happen. What's going to happen
legal
next?
prostitution?
What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen next is that all of these things are going to be hammered in the courts. And again, I'm not saying that Me Too, the issues that were brought up weren't legitimate. They're very legitimate. The workplace is not a place where personnel are being sexually harassed. I'm against that. What I am saying, though, is that men are going to fix it. They're going to fix the problems, ladies. The question becomes, will you like what they come up with? See, I say no. Women won't like men not wanting to be around them in the workplace. Women won't like men saying, okay, we can go out. You got to sign this agreement first. Women won't like, all the other things that are coming down the pipe with regard to Me Too. This Cosby piece, the whole legal system has to be reworked now. Behind this, all kind of prosecutorial misconduct. We have to revisit the whole thing of statute of limitations. All of that has to be reworked.
Okay, the lead attorney is saying there are tons of precedent saying that you can have no contracts. Let me finish reading it, Ed. Give me 1 minute. 1 minute. You can have no contracts for sex. This is what we learn in the first month of law.
And what I would say to Mr. Lead Attorney is he needs to check in with Miss Martha Nussbaum, and I will post the link right now. She is American philosopher, author of The Citadels of Pride, Sexual Abuse, Accountability, and Reconciliation. I think she's out of Harvard. I will post the link from The Economist. You need to check in with her and other feminist legal scholars who talk about affirmative consent, because that is going to be something that's going to be fought out in the courts coming down the pipe.
All right, go ahead, Ed. You got it. Sorry I cut you off a bunch of times, but you got it. Oh, now he don't want to talk. Ed muted up. All right.
Well, while we're waiting for Ed,
I'm ready.
Oh, go ahead, Ed.
Like I said, I understand
your volume a little low too. If you can,
Obsidian. Like I get that, but the reality is, all right. Well, let me just get this out. The reality of the situation is that shit is prostitution, and until they legalize prostitution, that's and I don't care. A woman's gonna say that because she's not decided to that. That's why even when they're degreed up, they try to put out there to try to make it, give it some legitimacy. The reality is that shit's prostitution. Like any contract that involves sex is prostitution, and the man is going to be on hook for soliciting sex.
Wait a minute.
That's what they're going to go to if they
hold on. You're saying that it's prostitution? Even what if there's no exchange of money?
Y'all, okay, whoever, I'll applaud the person that's willing to test that shit. But you see,
there's no exchange of
all
funds.
the time.
If there's no exchange of funds, it's not prostitution.
Yeah, because it's not prostitution. Oh, you go on.
Ed, you sound like you're driving through a.
You bet that. You go ahead and bet that, but.
Ed, I had to mute you, Ed. Something wrong with your audio. I could tell you started up your car. It sounds like you're driving through a hurricane. Pun intended on that. But
I just want to say something real quick. So I think the mistake that I believe Obsidian is making right now is that we're not disagreeing with you, Obsidian, that affirmative consent is a real thing, right? That is a real thing. Again, the key thing here, and there's a distinct difference here legally. The key difference here is that she can still revoke that consent, because affirmative consent only touches on getting the consent. Right?
I don't understand what you mean.
It doesn't touch on revoking it.
I get what you mean. So now the question becomes, is the contract enforceable or not?
Well, it doesn't even touch on revoking it. That's what I'm saying. Because there's no way you could actually.
You enter into an agreement and then you revoke your stated intention to carry out your duties per the agreement, then it opens up a question whether or not you're obligated to adhere to the parameters.
Well, I agree with you logically here, Obsidian, but this is where the nuance applies, right? Because when we talk about sex here, we're not just talking about any old contract. Like we're talking about somebody's body. And this is where
that's not what Martha Nussbaum said. Again, I invite you to listen to the podcast that she did. They just talked about this. Me Too. The link is in the chat room. She talks about how Affirmative consent is no different than what we all do with our doctors and stuff like that, which is your body as well. You have to sign all papers on that. What are you going to do? You going to wake up in the middle of a colonoscopy and say, no, I don't want to do this anymore? Stop it.
But you could actually do that, though. If you told them to stop, they'd have to stop. That's
how many actually do though? But how many actually do though?
But I'm saying you could though, and there's no contract. There's no contract.
I'm asking you, how often does it? See, I'm not talking about
that's a different question though. That's not, you're moving away from.
I'm not asking you what could or what might. I'm asking what actually did happen. Precedent. What was that?
So yes, but what you're saying, Obsidian. Here's what I'm saying is that you took the example of a doctor, right? Yes, you sign all those contracts, but the moment, because it is your body, the moment you decide, I no longer want to be a part of this, you can at any point in time change your mind about anything you sign because your body is involved. That's where the nuance is here.
And what I'm saying to you is this will be tested in the court of law. And by the way, for the lead attorney, Martha Nussbaum is not an economist. I said she was featured on The Economist. I invite you to listen to the podcast for yourself. They address just this, Me Too. I'm saying that this is something that's going to be in the future. The question will be, it won't be a problem for men. Men will be down to do that. The question is, women won't. Do they really want to solve this problem? Because it can be solved. We can solve all of this. We can end it. We can solve all of it. But do women really want to? See, I don't think they do.
Silent Lamont in the building says, "Oh man, told an attorney to read a book." LO.
It wasn't a book.
Right.
Although she does have a book, but it wasn't a book. It was a podcast.
Coonan says, "I'd rather hire Saul Goodman than the lead attorney." I have to agree with that one. I saw Saul Goodman is pretty damn good. Lead attorney, a close second place. Shout out to Better Call Saul. I'm like a season or two behind on that. What else did I have in here as far as super chats? I saw some. I think I saw the lead attorney, Silent Lamont, in there. The lead attorney got the silent treatment. And the lead attorney says there, I think Obsidian already responded to this one, but he said the brother in the top right corner is exactly right. And by the way, lawyers are infinitely better than economists when talking about the law. Shout out to the lead attorney. Appreciate the super chat.
But we weren't talking about economists. I said it was on.
Yeah, no, I said you already responded to that she wasn't an economist. But all right. Yes, a TV lawyer. Yes.
So these, my point is that these issues can be solved. All of these problems can be solved. All of the problems that Me Too has brought to light can be solved. The question is, will women like the solutions? I say they won't. Women will not. And we already have evidence for this. Sheryl Sandberg has already given us early evidence for this. She talks about how guys on Wall Street and so forth, important guys, don't want to be around women at all. They don't want to take the chance. They don't want to roll the dice. So women will have to pay for offer a sacrifice in order to make a safer workforce. It don't come free. Men don't come free. Freedom don't come free. Somebody got to pay. It's your turn, ladies. This is the price you pay to end this Me Too problem. Part of that price means you don't get mentoring from the guys that you need. Are you okay with that? Is that the trade-off you're cool with making? Because there are no solutions. There are trade-offs. Shout out to Thomas Sowell, who is an economist, I might add. You want to stop the Aziz Ansari problem? No problem. Sign on the dotted line. Listen, if you don't want to have sex with a man, don't go out with him. It's very simple. Going out on dates is not a right. It's not a civil right. It's not an EEOC of going out on dates. Men date to have sex. Dr. Warren Farrell said it. Tom Leykis said it. How many times does that have to be said? Dating equals porking. You don't want to have sex with a guy, don't go out on a date with him. It's not a right. There's nowhere in the U.S. Constitution says you have a right to go out on a date, gratis. No, you don't. If you don't want to have sex with the guy, don't go out on a date with him. You do go out on sex with the guy, sign on the dotted line. How many sisters are going to be okay with that? Because we can solve this problem right here. Any guy that does anything to a woman willy-nilly will go to jail. Make no mistake about it, especially if he's black. So we can solve that problem right there. I'm saying we can solve all of these problems, but women will not like the solution. Because men ain't gonna go for this. They're gonna be like, you know what, this is way too out of pocket. I'm gonna squash all this crap. We got the Tom Likas rule. We got the Mike Pence rule. We can solve the problems. But women won't like it. And then women have to deal with the fact that the very guys that they want the most are the very assholes that they complain about the most. It ain't the, regular guys that they complain about. And the solution is very simple. Just get with regular guys who don't act like assholes like that.
Black Swerve 404, he says they invented a law to get Jack Johnson. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that. Sun is Hot Ra says you cannot legally enforce sex and cannot be legally binding. It's against public policy because it will mean consent cannot be withdrawn. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
And that point though, Bernard, that's exactly specifically the last part. I think this is where, again, I really believe respectfully that Obsidian misunderstands the point that we're making here. I believe that I may be incorrect, because the issue here is that if you make it at all possible for somebody to basically not be able to withdraw the consent, you open a can of worms for torture, all types of things, right? And so there's no way, and there is precedent for this. You just cannot enforce that. So that's the same. That's why when you took the doctor example, you could literally get out of surgery, get up from in the middle of surgery and say, I no longer want to take part in this, and then have to figure out how to deal with that situation, because there's no way they can force you to remain in a situation that you.
How often does that happen?
Well, okay, but at that point, you're moving away from law, Obsidian, in terms of how often.
No, I'm not. Actually, no, I'm not. I mean, law is about facts. So how often do
law is about precedent and legal precedent,
which is based on facts. Which again is based on facts. Which again is based on actual events.
No, it's on legal precedent, not just.
Wait, let me make sure I understand. Hold on, y'all. Let me make sure I understand something. When you say how often does that happen, you mean how often do women?
Yeah, how often is somebody being in the middle of an operation, they get up and say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. How often does that happen?
Okay, but you do need to know.
Hold on. Let's go this route. Legally speaking, even if she signed on the dotted line, she can withdraw that consent right after the meal is over.
By the way, I never said that she couldn't. But what I'm suggesting and what Martha Nussbaum said in her interview over at The Economist is that this becomes a question of contract law. So yeah, you can break a contract, but there are penalties for breaking a contract.
But it's not equivalent to breaking a contract, Obsidian. That's what I'm saying. Like you're looking at these as if they're the same. It's not like a contract on a real estate property. But that's not what. This is where the nuances.
That's not what I'm saying.
You can't even have that if you have that in a contract, Obsidian. If you have that, even if you have
what I'm saying.
I think he understands what you're saying, Obsidian. He's just disagreeing with you and giving you a new.
I'm not saying that. Ms. Nussbaum is saying it. Please go over to The Economist and listen.
Obsidian, I'm familiar with what she's saying, but she only talks about consent, not revoking it. And that's what I'm saying. She could never talk about revoking it because there's no way you could write a contract.
Then the only way
Obsidian, hold on, listen.
The only way to suss all this out is through the court.
I think the best way to look at it is that it may be the case that what you're talking about, Obsidian, it does not deal with the revoking of the consent, but in the event that the sex does go through and she does go through it, whether it's to completion or to your satisfaction, some sex took place and she can't say that she didn't consent to it.
And right now,
that's the main point that you're accomplishing. You're getting her to say, yes, we fucking, and she can't say that she didn't consent to it. Now, as far as preventing her from revoking or declining, that's another can of worms, and that's a difficult one.
But the thing is,
go ahead, Silent. Let's see what Silent got to say on this.
The thing is, what you're missing is that there is a precedent that's already been set that says that she actually has the ability to revoke consent after the act.
Could you cite the case?
No, I can't. Don't do that. Don't do that. Bro.
No, that's a fair question.
I can't cite the case. Don't do that. This is what people do when they like. No, I can't cite the case. Let's move on.
He can't cite it. He can't cite it. We're going to move forward. Everybody stop. Silent. If you can't cite it, you can't cite it. That's fine. That was a fair question, but we're not about to.
Well, it's not a fair question on the panel. I don't have legal briefs in front of me.
Fair enough.
Just stop.
Fair enough. That's why I say we're not going to, hold you in contempt because for not having the information right in your back pocket. But that was a fair question. But go ahead, Silent, to whatever point you were digging for.
I mean, this is why these conversations we're all responding to kind of all of this media that we're seeing and kind of all these cases that we're seeing, and then men saying, hell no. I mean, we've seen these cases happen. We've seen the Brian Banks. We've seen the college athletes we've seen all that. This isn't like we're having these conversations for the first time. This is why the Bill Cosby case was big, because we've seen the big thing was because they had the big thing about the colleges. All right, all this shit was happening on the colleges. And at that point, you didn't even need proof, just an accusation. We're getting men kicked out of school. So this isn't the first time people have been having these conversations. That's why all these conversations started happening about basically she withdrew consent out of regret, and men are fighting against that. So again, it's one thing to have these conversations online, but this shit is in the real world and people are getting away with it. And when we talking about just go to court, listen, how about you get that shit tossed out of the police station because you don't ruin the person's life already. Yeah, you may win in court, but your career is over. There's social repercussions for it. Your life is destroyed. So the conversation is, you don't get to just say shit just because you can. And if you do, there needs to be a heavy fucking penalty. But then on the back end, we say that's victim shaming, because now what you're doing is you basically saying I can do and say whatever I want with no consequence, and the burden is on you. That is completely against the goddamn Constitution, period. That ain't the way this shit works, especially when you live in an age of social media where you're guilty before you hit the courtroom. It don't matter if you're guilty or not anymore. Legally, you're done.
I don't disagree with you. There was a really good article in the New York Times, but at the time Barry Weiss was still holding forth over there, and she agrees with your point that that the idea of kind of like a lynch mob type of mentality among women, it's really good art. You like it, Silent Lamont. You like what she had to say about it. I agree with you, and so does she. I think we need to have laws in place to protect the accused from being destroyed in the quote unquote court of public opinion. I think there needs to be laws against that. We need to stick to the facts, what can be actually proven in a court of law. And if that means that we're blaming the victims, and so be it.
Roger that.
Lamont, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir. Who's that? Pablo?
Yeah.
Fresco Bar, we good.
In your dating escapades history, have you ever slipped a woman, given a woman a quaalude consensually? And
then, first of all, I'm 40, so I've never had quaaludes. All right, but what it is it's liquor and bud, right? So you come over, you drink a little bit, you smoke a little bit, and get comfortable. That's what Bernard was saying before. That's what I'm saying. We gotta stop doing that.
Then it's not your problem. Then it ain't your problem.
What I'm saying. What?
But how is it not, though? Because that's exactly the same scenario.
It's not his problem. It's not his problem.
Wait a minute, but Pablo, a woman can literally say, he got me drunk and took advantage of me, even though.
And then it'll be his problem. Then it will be his problem. Right now,
okay, all right.
Pablo lives in a fantasy world. Like, you live in a fantasy world, bro. Like, yes, we're all conservatives here, man. Like, listen, we're all individualists here. We get it. Okay, but you're taking shit to the extreme where it no longer makes sense. Like, yes, people get set up, people lie. All these things do happen, Pablo. Yes, you could do everything right, and people do lie. I don't know if you understand that. You live in a fantasy world.
Never, not once, ever.
Okay, cool, good for you, man. But you live in a fantasy world.
Not my problem.
Well, I mean, why have the conversation then? We're having a conversation. I don't understand. Why do people do that? We're having a conversation, we're having a panel, and then people say, "Why are y'all talking about it?" Because
listen though, like Pablo, like I've taken women out on dates, or I've went out to the bar and we had some drinks, or we had some drinks at dinner, or she came to my house and we, shared a pint of a Ciroc or something.
And she came back 15 years later and said that you took advantage of her, that you.
And if she came back 10 years later, let's just say I blow up and I become 10 times. Let's just say I blow up, I become 10 times bigger than what Kevin Samuels is right now. And 10 years later, she come back and she say, "Yeah, Bernard Riley slipped me some drinks. She poured some liquor down my throat, and took advantage of me. And I'm like, no, bitch,
Well, you got money for a good lawyer now. You're wealthy. You good.
We
just
toasted.
keep getting moved down the table.
We toasted before we took them shots. What the hell are you talking about? You know,
But you see, he just shifted the goalposts now.
You
Well,
got
you
a
got
good
money for a
lawyer
good
now.
lawyer.
You got lots of dough.
You're shifting the goalposts now. You got money for a good lawyer. How about not have to go through that in the first place? That would be better.
Right, you're taking it back to what I just said, and then you try to y'all do that. Let me ask you this bullshit question to try to like, and then it'll lead. Come on, man. What do you mean? What are we talking about it for? This impacts you. It has the potential to impact all men. What are you talking about, man?
Pablo taking the individualism, and I don't engage in nigga shit, you know, too far to where if we're talking about two people engaging in some casual sex and a little bit of liquor was involved, and 10 years later she could get you locked up if you become famous. Like, nah, that ain't right. But I understand the spirit of what he's talking about, because people take the defense that we're given in this Bill Cosby situation, people take that and they extrapolate it all the way to J-Rock getting shot climbing through somebody's window, even though he was guilty climbing through the window. Like, no, we don't defend J-Rock, you know, breaking and getting shot during a breaking and entry. I'm not going to defend that shit. But if it's some sketchy legal bullshit where 20 years ago a woman said some guy slipped her some drugs and there's no way of proving it, we can't lock him up 20 years later. I can't rock with that. I can't rock with that over some he said that you can't prove.
Pablo, like, it's been many a nights you go uptown, you know what I mean? It might be a woman you meet, it might be a woman I just go out with that I already know. You know, I got bread, you know, I'll get drinks or whatever. You know, we just buy rounds. That's what you do. You go out here in Dallas, you're gonna spend 200. That's what you're gonna do. So I'm buying drinks. We're just drinking. We're having a good time. We're chopping it up. We're laughing. We're both fucked up. Hey, you ready to go? All right, boom. All right, you know, going back to my place. All right, cool. Boom, get back to your place. Yeah, all right, both of you still lit, you know, a little lit. But, you know, I'm able to drive us home. Get back to my place. She comes in, takes a case of coat off, sit on the couch, get comfortable. Hey, you know, you want to burn something? You know, you good? You want something to drink? Yeah, give me a little something to drink. She's even more fucked up. We have sex. We're both fucked up. Silent Amount. Boom, 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 boom. She see this dude in the Aventador. Boom. Oh, I need to get some of that. He got me drunk. I mean, technically, I got you drunk. I mean, technically, yes, that's true. I got you drunk and we had sex. But you're just playing word games. You understand? So it's hard to fucking go into court and legislate actually, technically, this is the problem with, with having a government in your bedroom. Some shit you just can't legislate because there's certain instances of human interaction and behavior that is ambiguous. We all know we all know no don't always mean no. Sometimes no means no, don't, no, please stop. We all know that shit. But you can't go into court.
Let me say this. The only way that you could truly get somebody drunk is if you got some type of apparatus and like force their mouth to stay open, and you like kind of waterboarded the liquor down their throat. That's the only way you could truly get them drunk. They technically getting themselves drunk. They're lifting the cup or the bottle to their mouth and they're drinking it. However, in the name of responsibility, yes, in the process of drinking with a woman, if she's half passed out, then she's gotten too drunk to make a decision. So that's when you can pull out in that section. Like let's meet in the middle on that one. If she's
getting something important before the important part for all of this to work is you have to remove the part where she has agency. That's the piece that connects all this.
Yep.
So once you remove her agency from all that, then it's all your fault because that's the catalyst.
And actually a bigger point, and I made this earlier, Bernard, is that I mentioned this earlier in the stream. I've had women literally ask me, like, if I smoke weed, right, before we smash. Like they're asking me to go get them drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like they're asking me to go get them drugs. So it would this would, if you just remove Quaaludes and you put weed in that scenario, it's the same thing, right? They're asking me to go get them drugs, even though I don't smoke weed. They're asking me to go get them weed because they feel like that's what they need before they smash, right? So when you remove that agency, like Silent just said, like when you remove that agency, you make it seem like first of all, you dismiss the idea that you dismiss drug culture as if it doesn't exist, as if women just don't do drugs. There are not cases where they don't want to do it. And then you just completely remove the fact that she could have not only consented to it, but actually asked for it herself, which is even bigger. It's like she asked for it herself, not even me trying to convince her to use this. She asked for it herself.
Right on. All right. Let me do this really, really quick here because we are closing in on the 4-hour mark, and y'all know I'll be trying to stay away from the little mini marathons. But like y'all know, the a sister brother broadcast will be in effect today. Like I said before, Lil Big Nate cannot go live on his channel. He got struck down by the by the wigged one. Struck either her or her fans struck him down when he did a response to her conversation with the white dude or whatever. They felt some type of way about it. They got him struck down. He's banned from going live for a week. So I'm letting him borrow my platform to go live. The Little Big Nate Show will keep charging forward. So he will be going live tonight. The topic on my channel right here at, I believe, 7 o'clock or 7:30 p.m. I'll make sure I get that time. No, 7:30 p.m. He will be going live here tonight. The topic is hashtag BET Awards. Y'all know Lil Big Nate going in on that. He says, is it over? Is America, Black America culture finished or the start of a new beginning? So shout out to Little Big Nate and shout out to his thumbnails. And I don't know if y'all can see all this wild and wacky, crazy stuff going on there. It looked like the devil is sodomizing somebody in the thumbnail. Little Big Nate, you gonna give me a strike too. I don't know if this is gonna work, but
that's the only thing I agree with him on. I will say that I think Bill Cosby is a part of that.
A part of what?
If we look at symbolism, because the devil understands symbolism. Bill Cosby's symbolism of the black, the black dad, the black successful, good, perfect, successful money, good father dad. And we got to destroy that shit for niggas and dresses to come in. You understand?
Yeah, well, Lil Big Nate is going to be going in on that today, right here on my channel. So be looking out for it at 7:30.
Bernard, I love how you just slid right past that.
Because I guess it's a whole nother topic. So, but I think Lil Big Nate is going to cover that hopefully carefully, and so you don't get me struck down as well. But
no one would have ever thought that Bernard would turn into a bleeding heart liberal.
Hey, I'm trying to get off the air. Put it like that.
Hey, I'll stop fucking with you.
I'm trying to get off the air right now.
I appreciate you, D. It's always good to chop it up. Oh man, You ain't shit. I like you, bro.
Yeah, I know I'm all about black male patriarchy, but I don't necessarily buy into all the when people get sort of conspiracy theory-ish about explaining what they're doing, even though it is an LGBTQRSTUV agenda that they pushing out there. So I do understand it, but I don't wholesale buy everybody's explanation of what's happening. I have my own explanations and its own controversies in my own explanation as well. So when people throw out their theories or hypotheses on why they're doing this, why they're doing that, why did we see a man kiss a man on BET Awards and all of that, when everybody throw out their theories as to why that's being put in front of us, I don't necessarily buy everybody's theories. I have my own. But
there's one other thing before we go.
Okay.
And that's this. The Me Too piece, I understand the impulse to want to say this is we are all Bill Cosby, or we are all fill in the blank. But
I don't think nobody said that. Yes, they were. They saying that could happen to anybody. So yeah, go ahead and finish your point.
I understand the impulse and I get the argument. But when we examine what happened with Me Too, it was talking about the top 20% of men. Okay. That being said, there is a knock-on effect at work here. Men farther down the totem pole will be affected, but not in the way I don't think that has been suggested thus far. I think it's going to be in different ways.
That's what I was kind of alluding to. I don't know if I made it clear, but I was alluding to the fact that there's regular guys who can be affected by it, but they're affected in a different type of way, because a lot of women they're trying to bring down men of power or trying to leech off some of that power. But for the regular guy, there's normally different circumstances and situations of which they will end up in a Me Too type situation. But go ahead, carry on. You can go ahead.
Here's the problem with that argument, though, Bernard.
And that carries over to the ladies, because when we really examine the women here, and I know this is going to be something that many of my brothers are not going to agree with, but just hear me out. We're not talking about all women here. We're talking about a certain type of profile of woman that has these problems. I mean, I'm talking about routinely, constantly having these problems. And see, when I mentioned Sheryl Sandberg, for example, see, there's going to the question for a lot of ladies is going to be this: are they willing to pay heavy sacrifices? She already talked about how, the women, aren't being mentored by men on the workplace. Maybe those women aren't the ones that's always constantly complaining about being harassed and all the rest of it. Maybe they just want to go to work and just do their job and go home. Are they willing to pay a heavy sacrifice for the women who are always constantly complaining? Because they will be paying that price. Men aren't going to be, trying to determine which woman is, likely to, go and try to bring a case up against them. They're going to say, you know what? I don't want to deal with none of this shit. Done. So how many of those ladies are willing to pay that price in the name of the sisterhood? So that's a real question that hasn't been asked yet. That hasn't been brought to the fore yet, because they are going to pay that price. They are. Their careers are going to be potentially, run aground behind this, because in those type of work in the Silicon Valleys and the Wall Streets and stuff of the world, mentoring is critical. If you don't get mentoring, your career stalls out. You're pretty much done. You're dead in the water. Are they willing to sacrifice that in the name of bringing about justice? See, that's something that we haven't really asked yet. And I think it's time that we do. Freedom ain't free, ladies. Somebody got to pay. And it's always, and anybody knows this, it's women who know it. Women know that there's a certain type of woman that's always making noise. It's a certain type. It's always some drama, always something, always some fitna, always something. Are they willing to pay the price for that? See, it's okay as long as men are paying the price for it. But see, what they're not thinking about is women going to pay the price too. That's the reason why I keep mentioning Sheryl Sandberg. They paying the price too. There's going to be a lot of women that just want to go to work and do their jobs. They ain't trying to mess with nobody, and nobody don't mess with them. They just want to do their job to the best of their ability and go home. Well, guess what? They're going to pay the price too. So all I'm saying is we can solve these problems. These problems can be solved. We can get the job done. The problem is women won't like it, because in a lot of instances, they'll be the ones paying the price for it. There are no solutions, ladies. There are only trade-offs. Enjoy.
Right on. JG, you was trying to jump in and say something in response to what I said. Go ahead. You got it.
Here's the issue with the average argument, right? I agree that in terms of what you actually mean, I think, generally speaking, I think most people could agree with it. The issue with it is that, first of all, we're talking about long spans of time here. We're talking about decades, right? So much can happen in long, I mean, for example, just take Kevin Samuels, for example. No, I don't think most people could have seen the level of growth that he's had in just the past year, right? In just a matter of a year. My point here is that you could be average right now, and so you're like, well, yeah, I don't have these problems, and so you're just living a normal life and whatnot, and again, like the brother Silent said, you might actually be, getting the liquor and the blunt and whatnot, and then now 10 years from now, the idea that 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that same woman, because you're somewhere else in your life that you didn't even realize you could be, suddenly that becomes a problem for you. That's the real issue there. It's not the fact that right now, as an average man, you may not have to deal with this. It's the fact that it's even a possibility, which is the reason why I think the interesting aspect of this from a legal perspective is thinking about what is possible, right? Not just what's happened, but what is actually possible, because if it's possible, it's an issue, right? Because it's something that could, especially if it can be applied in a way that's retroactive, right? So it's like, in the future, or sorry, if there's some future law, right? Or if we create a landscape where they can just, create some new law in the future
that goes back and looks at what you've done in the past, that makes it even worse, right? Do you get my point here? Like, I think it's the long-term effects that's the issue.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. I get that. Absolutely. Yeah, it can. That's my biggest point of contention with the whole Bill Cosby thing. That even if he did some stuff, let's just say hypothetically, he wasn't famous when he did it, but then he got famous. Now they can retroactively go back and say that Bill Cosby, back when he was making $50K working at a factory, I went to his house and we did some drugs and had sex, but I didn't, yeah, I get it. It's a problem that it exists the way that it exists, and we should not be okay with it, even if we don't engage in said activities. It's just the mere fact that it's there is a problem. So I'm with you on that. But we are about to get up on out of here. And like I said earlier, make sure you catch the Little Big Nate show that will be broadcasting live here on this channel at 7:30 p.m. EST. And with that said, we are out of here. Peace.